Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check. 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 Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check. Check. Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go. Check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. TJ Downing, Jim Bostic, JR Suppes. 1, 2. Got it. Check 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you, sir. Go ahead and pop in here. I'll get you guys dialed in. Yeah. Sometimes you use these different cameras and you don't get them mixed in properly with the board is one thing, camera's one thing, laptop's one thing. And say, good to go
awesome.
now. All right, man. I got the man, the myth, the legend here with me. Jim Bostic.
TJ, this is like the most exciting thing in the world. I'm telling you right now. I mean, you and your partner JP put together a great platform, and you've opened the door to bring that platform to high school wrestling, primarily Stark County wrestling, and we are so excited.
Hey, football's done, man. We got the state championships coming up this weekend, man, but it's time to turn our attention to winter sports. I'm excited about it too. And Jim, talk a little bit more here. We have a whole different field of wrestling now. The girls have gotten involved, and this is going to be the first time that they're going to be able to make their run down there to the shot in March. I mean, that's exciting stuff.
Oh, absolutely, TJ. I'll tell you what. The girls, of course, sanctioned by the Ohio High School Athletic Association last year, of course, at a club level. They had that the regional did a great job down there. But no, you're right. They will be down at the shot. They will be mixed in there, the women's state championship. And I know that Stark Media has really embraced the women's wrestling, and very excited to be a part of Ohio women wrestling. Also with us here tonight, my partner in crime, going to be here with me a lot throughout the season. Dear friend of mine, Mr. JR Suppes. JR.
Well, thank you, Jim, and we are super excited to be here this evening. It's the start of the wrestling season for the fans to see, but these young men and coaches have been gone at it a while already. Typically, what does that look like, Jim, when these guys get started?
Well, I'll tell you what, JR, really, like many of our sports, and we all know that, many sports, if mom and dad want or the athlete wants to, it could be year-round. Wrestling is a year-round, as many sports are. These young men and women have been at it probably, I would guess, through the summertime. Officially, at the high school level, when the OHSA takes over, of course, we get a start date. I think it's around November 16, 17, 18, around there. That's when they officially can begin practice. That's when the doors open to the practice room, and that's when the conditioning begins, that teaching. Obviously, yourself being a wrestling coach, you know how it works, right? I mean, you walk in the room, you got that state qualifier, state placer to, that athlete that says, you know what, I want to find out what this sport's all about. And from that first-year kid. So really presents an outstanding challenge for those coaches, and the coaches embrace that. I know they do. Would you not agree?
Oh, 100%. I mean, this journey that these kids and these coaches take, is so much dedication involved in this sport. It's the individual, the man in the mirror type thing. And, nothing but respect for these young men and young women out here gone at this, because it is a special breed of young person, I think, today that can handle the rigors of what it takes to compete out there on the mat.
No, and I love that term that you use, journey, because you're exactly right. This is a journey that these young men and women are on. It starts November 17, as you asked about that start date. You know when it's going to end. TJ led to it, right? Down at the shot down in March of second week in March. They're going to be down there competing for an individual state title, and not to forget, right, the team state title, right? They have the team's title that will take place throughout the team duels. Thank you. That take place throughout the season. So, well, as we look out on the floor here, JR, it's quite exciting, as you said. A lot of our schools. We have 2 rounds here this evening. This is round number 1. And why don't you tell us, you see who is competing? Who do you see on the mats down here?
Well, I think right now we have, right underneath us, we have Lake and Tusselaw gone at it. We also have McKinley and Fairless, Alliance and Sandy Valley's on mat 2. Like I said, Lake and Tusselaw is on mat 3. And on mat 4, we have Minerva going against some different team members from Massillon, Central Catholic, and St. Thomas Aquinas. And that is the opening round on the 4 mats. And then, like Jimmy said, we have a second round starting roughly around 8 p.m. tonight. And who do we got going in those second round matches, Jim?
You got it, JR. Yeah, our second round, again, we're going to find on mat number 1, we're going to see the Golden Eagles of Glen Oak taking on the Indians from Northwest High School. So that should be a very good bout. Also, mat number 2, we'll find the Polar Bears from Jackson. They're going to take on the Wildcats from Canton South High School. Mat number 3, there's going to be our hosts, the Vikings of North Canton Hoover, and they're going to be taking on the Dukes of Marlington. And on mat number 4, round number 2, that will be Perry Panthers, a perennial powerhouse here in the Federal League in Stark County versus the Louisville Leopards. So, yeah, round 2 should be absolutely exciting. And in between those rounds, JR, on mat number 4, we do have our women wrestling. Is that correct?
The live feed is showing mat 4 right now, Jim.
Okay. I got you, JR. So, yeah, if you are on, I hope you're online with us. I'll tell you what, a very exciting episode number 1, our inaugural launch of the Stark Media Group. Yeah, well, I'm going to watch that. Smart. For some reason, I mean, we are smart, because I'll tell you what, the gentleman that put this together, TJ and JP, absolutely brilliant young men. TJ Downing, JR, you, of course, a football coach, aficionado. TJ played a little football, did he not?
Yeah, I think he did play a little bit. I think he was a pretty dang good guard for the Glen Oak Eagles, those Buckeyes down in Columbus. Yeah, he was an outstanding young man, still to this day. Heck of a football player. That's for dang sure.
Now, I'll tell you what, just outstanding. I personally got to shake this gentleman's hand about a month ago through the introduction of really the guy that kind of thought about this whole wrestling concept. Gentleman I met, Tim Arnold, good friend of mine, and he introduced us to Stark Media and TJ, and the rest is history. Tonight, episode number 1. Here we are at North Canton Hoover. And I'll tell you what, throughout the night tonight, I know we're going to see a lot of action going on. The camera's going to be showing you some of the different masks, but we're also going to have a chance to meet and talk with a lot of our coaches in the area. And right now I see one of our coaches right up here, and I'm going to ask him to put a headset on with us there, JR. So I see this is Coach Jeff Coleman. Coach Coleman, a true legend here in Stark County, a great friend of mine. I'll tell you what, how you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing great, man. Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too. Yeah. Jeff, of course, he was head coach back in the day with Minerva, the Minerva program. Did an outstanding job there. Still, obviously, highly involved. His son, Micah, we'll be talking to Micah hopefully tonight. If not, definitely later within the year. Micah now the head coach of the Louisville program. I think, Dad, you're helping him out down here a little bit, aren't you?
Yeah, it's like the Godfather, you know. Just when you think you're out, they suck you back in, you know. But
an offer you couldn't refuse.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I love it. I've been involved with mainly with Stark County with the freestyle and the Greco, running the Samurai Wrestling Club, and it's to me that's really where my heart is. I get to see kids from all over the county and some outside the county, but getting to know some of these kids and then following them through their high school career and then some into their college career, just a blessing. So some great kids out there.
Oh,
in this sport.
Yeah. Oh man, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, I mean, I can tell you right now, you know, Jeff will be joining our broadcast crew, I think, throughout the year as we try to pick up a variety of programs out throughout. So, Jeff, you know, you did talk a little bit about there, and I would just like to share a little bit more. Of course, we are in what we call, for those of you a little bit new to the sport of wrestling, this is our folk style, right? This is a style that is unique to the United States. But as Jeff said, you know, he also coaches and is actually our nationals team director He talked a little bit about the Samurai Wrestling Club. Want to have him share a little bit about that. An outstanding organization that he founded, has grown, I can tell you, immensely. So we'll definitely be out to Samurai at some point in time. But Jeff, why don't you just share a little bit about your journey with the international program, what you do right now still in the USA Ohio program?
Yeah, well, years ago, I'd say probably over 25 years ago, I got involved with USA Wrestling Ohio, and because I was seeing that some of the best kids in the state were wrestling freestyle and Greco in the summer. So I got involved with that and just learned a tremendous amount there. And for those that don't know, again, freestyle and Greco are the Olympic styles of wrestling, and so that's what a lot of people go to after their collegiate careers. So been involved with that for a long, long time. I started the Samurai Wrestling Club, I believe, like in 2004. And it's just been a blessing. I get to meet some great people in the sport, because they're there because they want to be and they want to get better.
Now, wait a minute, Jeff.
Yeah.
You are one of the great people in this sport. I want you to know that.
Thank you.
Never forget that, my friend. No, you are looked upon, like you said. You kind of, we tongue in cheek that Godfather. You've been around a long time, and
yes, I have.
No, you have, and you've watched the sport evolve. Yeah. I mean, can you talk just briefly about how you've seen the evolution of even Stark County wrestling?
Oh yeah, well, if you look way back, and I would say you would have to tip your hat to Walt Talarczyk, and in the sense that he's the guy that really started the organization of Stark County Wrestling and looking out for this area, and he was the guy that everybody was looking up to and what he was doing. He was out scouting. He was doing things that other coaches at the time maybe weren't doing in the sport of wrestling. So me growing up, I wrestled at Perry and I competed against him, but he always treated me and everybody I knew with respect. And that's the biggest thing with this sport I see is, a lot of other sports, and not to knock any sport, because everybody, has their thing and they do well with it and they fight for what they want. But this sport is kind of unique in the sense that the wrestlers themselves and the coaches don't just fight for themselves, but they fight for the sport. And in my opinion, so I just think it's kind of unique from that sense, to growing the sport and making it better. And I think most coaches you talk to just want to, realize that the sport is bigger than them. And
yeah, Jeff, and I agree with you 100% on those points. Where has or what are your thoughts, beliefs in our women now being involved in the wrestling program, which is a fantastic opportunity for those young ladies? Tell us a little bit about that, if you would.
Yeah,
please.
well, obviously that, I think they do some very good things because the women, again, they're Olympic. They have women's wrestling in the Olympics, so they wrestle freestyle. So in essence, when they get to college, if a girl continues outside of high school, they actually wrestle freestyle in college.
Okay.
So, this is a good foundation. I think, they're growing tremendously right now. So, I give a lot of kudos to the coaches that are out there working with them and helping them get along. And I think there's great opportunities for scholarships and other things that maybe even some of the men don't have, that the women have an advantage there.
Do the programs that are having women wrestle right now, is it just one head coach, and do you see an opportunity perhaps for a women's head coach and a men's head coach at the high school level?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I see that growing to that level. I can't speak to every program right now and who they have on staff as far as that,
Sure.
But going back to Samurai though, we have some women there because they compete also in the international style. So, they're involved with my club as well. So, very much welcome.
I'll tell you what, Jeff, too, again, Stark Media, so we're really focused on Stark County Wrestling.
Yeah.
We're pretty blessed. I believe, isn't that at Alliance High School, we have the women's Ohio national coach, head coach is actually coaching over there, is he not?
Yeah, Dane Johnson. He's been with me for a couple of years, and the opportunity came for him to get on staff with USA Ohio, and he's doing a great job, along with some other people there. And he is also involved with my club, so I appreciate him a lot. And to go back to just the mindset of wrestling itself and the mindset of where we're at, and I think of this community is, some people ask me, why do you name it Samurai? And the word samurai actually means to serve. And for me, there's always a deeper meaning. And that keeps me grounded as far as why I'm there and why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's to serve these guys and to see Stark County wrestling grow.
No, that's awesome, brother.
Mhm.
So, kind of taking a look here. Of course, you guys, going into round number 2, got the old Perry Panthers there. Anything you want to forecast before that preview match?
Well, I'll tell you what, I saw them for the past couple years really develop, and right now they're back into their own, and they're a powerhouse for sure. Louisville, I'll be helping with them, with my son there tonight. They graduated like 7 seniors. They were, I think 3rd in the state last year.
Yes.
So, they're going to be coming in maybe a little bit, not at the level of Perry, but they'll compete. You
guys always compete.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, outstanding.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jeff, you'll be with us throughout the year. I know, right?
I hope so, buddy. Yeah.
You definitely. We're definitely going to get you out to a couple of our matches. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Coleman, just one of the aces in this sport, not only in Stark County, but throughout the state. I'll tell you what, you mentioned wrestling, but, USA, whatever, Jeff Coleman's name comes to mind. So, Jeff, I appreciate you stopping by the table tonight.
I
That's going
appreciate
to
it
be
very
great
much.
having you part of Stark Media and the wrestling division. We appreciate that.
Much appreciated. You make me feel 5'8".
Wow. That means I'm about 5'6".
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't know what the heck. We got to get Suppes out of here. I mean, look how tall he is. What the hell? I'm not even going down there to
awesome.
Big TJ, man.
Seriously, I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Good luck tonight, Coach.
Thanks.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Helper there out of Louisville High School. His son, we will be talking to his son here down the road, Micah Coleman. Micah is, the head coach of the Louisville, took over for Rocky Laughlin. Rocky, another just an outstanding gentleman. Love him to death. He's still helping out. I just see him around the gym here. We got a chance to shake hands, but Micah's going to do a great job at Louisville, and we'll be, seeing them soon, JR. That's for sure.
Nope, that was fantastic. I mean, Coach Coleman, talk about a wealth of knowledge, understanding, history in Stark County, unprecedented, just an amazing person to have part of our team. I was so glad he could join us this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm talking about somebody who can join us this evening. Joining us at the table right now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce the head coach of the Northwest Indians. He is a transplant of a transplant now, and he'll tell you a little bit about that. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you Coach Art Kali. Coach Kali, great to see you, brother.
Good
Thank
to
you
see
for
you,
coming
Jimmy.
in. Art,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
my
Art.
brother JR. And Art, second year with the Indians. That I know, again, carries a very powerful name in the sport of wrestling throughout the state of Ohio. That Kali name is known way back, and I got some good stories someday we can get into a little bit about that. But I'll tell you what, I'll just lead real quick and let Art tell you a little bit about himself. Northwest, of course, they're in round number 2, but I'll tell you what, they sent me a picture the other day, and it actually brought a tear to my eye. I mean, it's pretty cool, and I'm sure it did for him too. He showed a picture of himself with his uncles, his nephews, and that, and all his uncle said. His uncle's a good friend of mine, Chris Kali. Chris is the longtime coach. He is the state chair for our USA Wrestling program, president and CEO of Wrestle One Athletics. We'll talk a little bit about that down the road. But all he said was four generations.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about that picture.
Well, that picture's pretty neat, and I think it was in our wrestling room last week when we had Matt running our practice, but we had his kids and my nieces and nephews. All of us were there together running a practice in Northwest. Matt came in from Indiana to do that for us. And like you said, the wrestling for the Kalis is pretty important. It's kind of our family business. It's super important to me. Obviously, I'm coaching here at Northwest again. My dad started wrestling. He was the first one back in 1960 something at Barberton High School, and there's been a Kali wrestling ever since. Wow. I mean, that's the short story. That's the short story.
Wow.
That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
That's fantastic.
Now tell us, you actually just recently moved back from another state, from what I understand.
Right. I moved from Oregon last October 19th to specifically be the head coach at Northwest.
That was kind of one of your goals, wasn't it? I remember you and I,
Right.
when you and I met out at Fargo, and we're going to talk a little bit again about international. You hold a very strong position within the our Ohio team. Want people to make sure they know about that. That's where we first met. But I do
Right.
remember that one of your goals, you
Mhm.
told me back then, a few years ago, you wanted to come back to Ohio. You wanted to take on that Northwest program.
Right. I graduated from Northwest in 1984. Actually, Al Mayfield was my coach, and Brian Reese, and they've done a good job. And unfortunately, the team has fell on some hard times. We'll just put it that way. And a good friend of mine, Bruce Costco, and I have been in contact, and they said that they need some help, and I was ready for a change. Was pretty successful in Oregon, and my wife and I had a conversation, and we decided, well, I say we, but I decided, I guess, and she came along with me, that we did a pretty good job out there in Oregon. We had some really tough teams. We were very good. I'm not going to beat around the bush with that, but there's just something different about Ohio wrestling, and we made a name out there for ourselves, and so the challenge was put there, and we discussed it, and we decided, hey, let's see if we can go. Make our name again at one of the top 5 wrestling states in the country. When we knew it was a rebuilding job at Northwest, but that's okay because we built our old school program from the ground up, and we're ready to do that here again.
No, what I picked up on was you said you graduated from Northwest in '84.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct? That is absolutely positively fantastic.
Why is that, Mr. Suppes?
Well, because I graduated from Triway in '84.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah, so we go way back, even though we don't know it.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you when I graduated.
Yeah. But it's good to be back. It's good to be home. I've got a good staff. I mean, most of our coaches have the same last name. With what the K-Lies did at Wadsworth and Coventry back in the late 70s and early 80s, and North Canton and Green and what Uncle Charlie did at Barberton, and it's my home. It's our family business. I'm crazy happy to continue, my dad's legacy basically through the sport of wrestling. So, and I'm super happy to be here.
Well, in one of our segments, JR, that we're going to do this year, right, is In the Room, right? The In the Room program. And I talked to Art earlier today, actually, and they're going to be actually our first In the Room show. So can you share a little bit about the In the Room segment and what we're going to hopefully do there for our fans?
Yeah, so it's an idea and it's a concept for us to get into those practice rooms and be able to talk to the coaches and some of the wrestlers about what kind of goes on in there. And again, a little peek behind the veil, if you will. And again, let the coaches, be able to talk about their program, talk about their assistant coaches and the kids that are putting in the time because they deserve the credit. It is one heck of a tough sport. And we are here to make sure you guys get to tell your story, and everyone needs to be appreciative of the work that you guys do day in and day out. So that's what In the Room is going to be all about.
Well, it's exciting to have Jimmy there. I'll tell you a little bit of information. I tried to recruit him for one of my assistant coaches last year when I came back, and it didn't work out. But that's all right. We stayed in contact, and he's a good friend.
No, I'll tell you what, the K-Lies, the Bostic, as Art said, we go way back, that Barberton Norton or Coventry Norton days. And yeah, one day on one of our shows, JR, I'll share a couple of good stories back when Uncle Chris, his uncle, was wrestling there. But no, I love Art. I'm privileged, really, truly, to have them as our first In the Room. I really kind of was looking forward to that. I'm glad he agreed to that. And we do a lot of other things. But one last thing I want to ask you, Art, again, this is folk style, of course, unique to the United States.
Yes, sir.
But of course, the international, the Olympics, and one thing I love about the Olympics, if you look, and I only coached international for a little bit, but what I loved, and I used to tell my kids in the practice room when I was coaching, is that the Olympics classify wrestling as a combat sport. And, I always thought that was unique. It was a good way to use that. But you hold a very nice position with our Ohio team. Could you just tell us a little bit about that? And I know you're about ready to get ready around 2. We'll let you go. But how about what you're going to be doing this spring?
Yeah. When I was in Oregon, I got active, almost 10 years ago on the international circuit, and had the privilege of coaching some of the Oregon national teams. I was the coach of the cadet national dual teams, both Greco and freestyle. And then my last 2 years in Oregon, I was the junior director for the state, meaning that I was in charge of the 18U age group. Then we took teams back to Fargo, and actually during COVID, when we weren't allowed to wrestle, we did a little barnstorming tour of the Pacific Northwest, which was fun. We tried to get any wrestling activity in for those kids that we could. Took a year off, of course, like I said, last summer when I moved here, but at our state meeting in Columbus about a month ago, I was elected to the directorship of the state of Ohio for the Greco-Roman team. Ohio's a little bit behind the curve, believe it or not, as far as Greco-Roman is concerned. I really love Greco. And so I've been tasked with helping grow Greco-Roman wrestling. And I saw you were just talking to Coach Coleman. He's the head of the junior national teams, both freestyle and Greco. So I'm going to be able to get to work with him and Micah and the Samurai Wrestling Club to get Greco-Roman where it needs to be in the state of Ohio. Yeah. I'm excited about that. I didn't think I would get this active this quickly, but
I did.
But yeah.
You don't keep a Kali down,
right? Not for long. And again, Mrs. Kali has agreed, and she understands, and she's just been a joy in all this, and very patient with me, moving our whole family cross country like this. So
Coach's
I'm
wives,
excited. Yeah, it's
very special breed.
It is, and there's words cannot express, of course, how much we love them and care about them, and all the things that they do are for our athletes that go unnoticed a lot.
100%, Coach.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, Coach, I know you got to get ready to go. And also, JR, I think Coach Kali is going to be joining us at the table here off and on throughout the year. I know that he has a great wealth of knowledge as it comes to our women's program. He's going to be educating all of us with that. And we're going to get him on a headset, and he's going to be helping us out throughout the season. So,
all right. Looking forward to it, guys.
All right, Coach.
Thank you, Coach. Great to see you, brother.
Good to see you, Jimmy.
Take care, man. You got it, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there he is, Curt Kali from the Northwest program. And I'll tell you what, it's so special getting to talk, and that's going to be really a big part and platform of Start Media Wrestling is, we really want to get you to know the personalities, the people behind the programs. Personally, as JR knows, I've been a head coach for many years myself. Stepped away for a bit, and then went back into the program with another 20 years of coaching here down in Stark County. But just made so many great people looking down on the floor. Now, what mat are we on? Are we still focused on mat 4, JR?
Yes, our live stream is still on covering mat 4. You can see a little bit of 1 and 2 in behind there, but the camera's main focus right now is on that mat. Mat 4.
Is that right below us?
I believe this is mat 4 right here. Yes.
All right, then we got our numbers here a little bit. Looks like those teams are lining up. That could be done. That is Alliance and Sandy Valley finishing up. And I'll tell you what, while we have a chance, JR, I want to go through, we've got a chance to have a program here. And let's just real quickly run through the names here. We'll just kind of go back and forth. I'll let you start off. Now, here is what we have so far, ladies and gentlemen, for the Alliance Aviators there. There's their lineup. So why don't you go ahead, JR, share us a little bit. Again, I apologize. This is not lineup. This is roster. So here's who they have right now as it stands.
Yeah, Alliance High School's roster at the 106, there is Sabrina Schaefer.
Yeah, we got Jace Kaiser at 106.
Kaylin Towns.
Yeah, and we got Jaden Haydett.
Ashlyn Pennington.
Ashlyn, very nice. At 113, Ashlyn at 113. Also at 113, I got a few 113s. Riley Horning.
Also at 113, Carter Keenan. And at 113, Jason Mergenthaler.
Yeah,
I hope
good
I
call.
got that
No, I
right.
think you did. That's a good call.
113, Richard Kelly. Starting at 120, we have Madden Thompson. We have Avery Horning. We have Rashawn English, Eric Boyd, Bryce Schlitsky, Abigail Mosden at 132, Madeline Davis at 132, Sean Richer at 132. At 138, we have Adlin Mosden. At 138, we have Camden Cowlock. At 144, we have Andalyn Barker. At 144, we also have Jacqueline Rich. We have Johnny Belts also at 144. At 150, we have Colin Langdon, Raiden Carver. Jada Patrick starts 157. Devin McMasters. Jim, I'm going to give you that name.
Well, okay, thanks. Yeah, at 157 also, I see McKinley Barrett. 165 this year, we have Montavious Everett.
Oh, Montavious, what a great name.
Absolutely. 165, Mason Alexander, Quinn Kallick, and Alex Hartman rounding off their 65s. Only one at 175 so far this year. I see Jackson Eddy, the 190 class. Okay, coach has quite a few there. That's Isabella Hall, CJ Daniel, Holden Robinson, Onez Roseborough, and Ben Hall at 215.
At 215, we have Aiden Mosden.
3 Mosdens on that team.
Yeah, there is. I thought that name kept repeating itself. In our heavyweight class, we have Charcora Tackett. We have Kanan Jones, Rahan Yazer, DJ Geiselman, Riley Jarez, and Caden Stickler.
Absolutely. And the Aviators this year, head coach is Marcus Lambden. We'll definitely be seeing Coach Lambden later in the year. We'll definitely get an in-the-room session out there, let him share a little bit about his program. His assistants this year, Chris Davis, Michaela Jackson, Dane Johnson. There's my buddy Dane. Dane, of course, is our women's freestyle national teams coach. I've worked with Dane the last few years as I helped to put together our Ohio national teams. Braylon Leitner also assisting this year, Michael Rosette, and Isaiah Watson-Kirksey. So those of you listening from Alliance, you got a big, nice team out there, good program. We wish you all the best. Sandy Valley took on Alliance, and at the Sandy Valley program, they have tonight in their lineup, we have at 106, 113, not sure which way. We're going to have a senior there, Brandon Boggs, at 113, 120 pounds. A junior, Lena Heredia, 126, 132. A freshman, LJ Lewis, 132, 138, a senior, Brody Diss, and at 138, 144, a junior, Jason Morris.
At 120, 126, we have a junior, Evan Natel. At 126, 132, a sophomore, Maddie Vickers. At 144, 150, we have Jake Candace, who's a sophomore. At 157, 165, a junior, Matt Barnett. At 165, 175, a senior, Brock Moyer. At 190, freshman, we have Joey DeBillis. 215, freshman, Dylan Watkins. And the heavyweight, junior, Alec Trent.
All right, and this year, the Sandy Valley Cardinals head coach is Greg Donahue. Coach Donahue is assisted by Billy Natali and Scott Blair. Always doing a nice job there building that program. One of the smaller schools in Stark County, but again, always one to be watching out for. So we want to wish Coach Donahue and Sandy Valley team good luck this season. As we look around the mat, again, on the far mat looks to be, I think that is mat number 4 on the far side. That looks to be Minerva. Minerva is taking on a triad there between the Massillon group, Central Catholic, and St. Thomas Aquinas. So I'll tell you what, JR, let's take a look at their rosters, and let's give a little love and a little shout out to their coaches and their teams. First of all, we're going to go with the Massillon Tigers. Tigers, of course, a great year this year in football. Yeah. Uh-oh. All right, I see the man is putting the gear on. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome back to the mic. He's been out and about. our owner, our founder, and I'll tell you what, just a heck of a great guy. TJ Downing is back with us. TJ, so what do you think? What do you say here with the wrestling?
Well, it's not very often that you get me to blush. And that intro right there, I get it now why you are the hype man over there at Jackson High School. That's the best intro I've gotten in a long time, man. Nobody ever says the kind words about us linemen, so it's nice. I'm used to the opposite. The words are a little bit negative or it's attacking. So this feels good, man. I'll tell you what, this is a great vibe here inside of the gym. I think getting things underway here for the winter season, for our winter program here at Stark Media, perfect place for us to be. Love that you guys have come on board here and gotten this thing going for us. I mean, I couldn't do it without you guys. And we see Brad down there, all that he does for wrestling and officiating. And, it's a great group in here. It's a great group that we've put together to be able to bring a platform for wrestlers and for it also to be ushered in here with the girls getting involved as well. I mean, this is high-end competition. And as I talked to Curt Hamilton earlier, between all of the 88 counties in the state of Ohio, Stark County's got to be in the top 5, right?
No, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, as far as, and I know that, your vision, you just, again, the vision that you have, things that you have kind of shared about where you'd like to see Stark Media, especially in the area of wrestling, go, and your vision for the women, Stark County women's wrestling is really, I would have to say, in the state, if not number one, it's got to be within the top 2 or 3. I know it's relatively new, but I'm going to tell you, Alliance came in. I think I walked through, JR, what'd you see? 10, 12 women, I think, on the Alliance team. I know Northwest had 10. What'd you see?
Yeah, no, that was correct. I was very impressed with those numbers. And, again, super excited for the opportunity for those young ladies. And, like Coach Coleman was sharing a little bit, I think the women's programs in the county and the state overall are going to do nothing but get better, stronger, more people competing, which is absolutely positively fantastic for those young ladies to have those opportunities. Super excited for them.
And TJ, again, this is episode 1 of our of the wrestling world, but you guys went all through the football season, of course. With the state championships, I think
this weekend.
Yep. Coming up. Are you going to have a crew out there, boss? You gonna be out there, doing it up?
Yeah, we will. Actually, we've been contracted out by the OSHA radio network. So anybody out there that has listened to us throughout the regular season, we've been on 106.9, Rock 106, the free iHeartRadio app, and we've also been on 99.7 FM, another iHeartRadio radio station or frequency. So you'll be able to hear all of those games coming down the line on 99.7. You can get them on AM at 640 WHLO. But, they're starting here on Thursday night. I'm going to be on a few of them doing some color analysts. We're also going to have a pregame tailgate show that will happen down on the East Concourse inside of Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. That's the end closest to the highway. And, I heard you guys talking about the Massillon Tigers. And the one thing Curt told me earlier, he goes, I don't expect a whole lot of them here, even though we got a chance to catch up with Superintendent Paul Salvino, big-time wrestling aficionado. And I know you got a few guys from the Tiger wrestling program here, but a good bit of those guys, a guy like Cody Fair, who was a standout linebacker, really played a heck of a role on that team, although they came up a little bit short last Friday, and Hoban's going to end up playing for the state championship this Thursday night. They kick off this Thursday night. That'll be a standalone game, then 3 of them on Friday, 3 of them on Saturday. But, guys are the guys that have been finished up there, whatever they did in the fall, kind of kicking it into overdrive here and getting things underway for the winter. And I know that now that all of our Stark County teams are finished up, I know everybody's kind of ramping up, man, and got to give a shout-out to our good buddy Tim Arnold. I think last told he went out there to the Hoover Dam this afternoon, and it was kind of like Vegas Vacation, if you remember the National Lampoons with Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
I think between him and Danny, they were like putting little pieces of gum out there because they saw some leaks in the dam, and they're trying to fix it out there. He must have lost too much money on the craps table, so he ended up having to do the tourist view of things, and even took himself down to Fremont Street. You go down to Fremont and you get off the strip, you've spent a little bit too much money.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I do remember seeing a picture he had sent. I think he only had 5 chips in his hand. I don't know if that was it or what. It was not a good thing. But no, we missed Tim tonight. Again, he was the one that I believe came to you with this, kind of the idea of the wrestling side of things, even though I know it was in your heart. I mean, you're doing the football, of course, this weekend, but you also Stark Media, man. I mean, your vision, you're already doing some basketball, and it's not stopping there from what I understand.
Yeah, we're going to have a whole basketball platform that we'll do. And speaking of 99.7 FM and the free iHeartRadio app, you'll be able to find our guys Sam Berkwin and Lee Foster on that platform, on that FM frequency starting next Friday. A week from this Friday, football's out of the way. It's done. We're into wrestling. We're into basketball. I believe it's Jackson and Lake starting next Friday. I think that's at Lake. We'll have something that we'll put out there for you next Tuesday as well. I believe that's Glen Oak and Perry. Can't tell you exactly where it's at because my mind's still trying to transition here, but we're going to have basketball coming down the line, men's or boys and girls basketball. So we're excited for that. We're going to kick it in to overdrive here in about a month or so with some swimming and diving, between Jackson, Hoover, as we're sitting here inside of North Canton's high school, those two right there. When it comes to swimming and diving, it'll be super competitive. It'll most likely, see what happens. It probably will come down to those two inside of the Federal League. But I got to tell you guys, I know we rattled off, a couple weeks ago as we were doing some of our meetings, as we see our guy right there.
Oh, there he is.
The big fella, Colton Arnold, looking to maybe break his own pin record from last year.
That's
but,
right.
the atmosphere inside of CT Brandon Natatorium, when I went over there and watched those state championships last year, it was insane. One of the most competitive atmospheres I've ever been around. And then you can say the same for what happens down there at the Shot. You get through the first week of March, you get down there in the Shot down in Columbus, and you get all those mats out there and the competition. You get some fireworks. And I used to always love, my good friends Mike and Ryan Hurley. I remember, they would trot those guys out there, and you'd have to look at your competitor, and they got the lights down. You got it almost feels like you're in an old a Studio 54 nightclub or something, and they're amping it up, and you see the guy that you're going to be wrestling for a state championship, and you got to trot across there and give him a little sportsmanship, shake hands, and then it's all business. I'll tell you, you've been around it. Both of you have been around it for a long time. There's not quite an atmosphere like that.
No, it's a special event, and I'm sure again. But then again, we talk about special events, ladies and gentlemen. This man, of course, playing down at the Shoe, and I'm sure he's got some memories there that as the season goes on, he's going to share with us a little bit more in that regards. But TJ's right. When you go down there to the Shot, and I'll tell you one of the big special things there, TJ, is when they take video throughout, and I can tell you that everybody tries to get down there just to see that video. One reason why they want to see if you got, you happen to get a shot in the crowd, and there you are, maybe doing the kiss cam or something like that. I don't know, But no, you're absolutely right. And I'll tell you what, I know that you're working very hard to make sure that Stark Media has a presence, down at the state tournament as we go through. I know that is one of your goals as we move forward. And, from there, as we've talked about, right after we get done with the state, we take about a week or two off, and the international season starts, right?
Yep.
I mean, that ends up out in Fargo, North Dakota with the United States Nationals put on by our Marines. Just love our servicemen and women. And I know that you've talked that possibly we're going to have a Stark presence out there also.
We will, and I will tell you that there's not much to talk about when it comes to Ohio State football from this past weekend. So we're going to leave that one right where it finished, and that was a butt whooping by the Michigan Wolverines. So yeah, it's tough. But I'll tell you what, the competitive nature is why we play sports. To challenge yourself, put yourself out there. And whether it's in the weight room, whether it's on the mat, whatever your sport is. I hate to say this word, but it's true. It's about failing. Because you learn so much about yourself to just put yourself out there to fail. So many people are afraid to do something. They're afraid to come out here and wrestle because they think it's too hard, or they don't want to lose, or it's one-on-one and all the eyes are on you. But putting yourself in a position to fail challenges yourself, and it brings out the best in you. So that's what we love. That's why we love sports, and it doesn't get any better than that.
No, absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, we're right now at the table. We're very blessed to have with us the head coach of the Lake Blue Streaks. With us now is head coach Jesse Villers. Coach Villers, great for you to come up to the table. We appreciate this. We saw you down there wrestling a little bit earlier. How'd it go?
Things went pretty good for our guys. We got a lot of young guys that we threw out there tonight, just to get them some experience, and actually things turned out pretty good. When it gets down to it Saturday, we have a pretty old lineup. We got a lot of seniors in there, some guys that we expect a lot from, and just to see some of those guys get out there tonight and get ready for the season, I think we did a good job. I mean, we definitely have places we need to improve, but I think we should have a fun season ahead of us.
Jesse, coming into something like this, what were your expectations for your kids?
I didn't really care about the wins or losses tonight. I know a lot of people do, but it's a preview. It doesn't mean much on your record. Doesn't mean anything for rankings, anything like that. I just want to see our kids come out and compete for whether it be the 20 seconds of wrestling or 3 minutes. I wanted them to wrestle for the 3 minutes they can compete, and I wanted to wrestle as hard as they can the entire time. That's what I was looking for tonight, and I think we got that out of most of our kids, so I'm proud of that tonight.
No, absolutely. Coach, of course, right here with us is one of your football coaches, right? And you guys had a great run in football this year. Now, you had a couple, I think JR pointed out a couple of football players that maybe not quite yet ready, or we have to, bang a little bit in that room. So you got a couple football players yet that are going to join the lineup, correct?
Yes, correct. Our 215, his name is Nate Sponsler. He was the defensive tackle on the football team this year. He had a pretty good run for those guys last couple of seasons. Tough kid, hasn't wrestled since 8th grade, and he was up to like 300 pounds. I think he told me he's down to like 207 now. Wow. So he goes, Coach, care if I come out and wrestle? I was like, no, we could definitely use somebody there. So that'll be our 215. And then our heavyweight's the big kid down there in the white hoodie. He's the left tackle team. It's Anthony Miller. He's a pretty good football player, pretty good wrestler. He's just a big kid, and I think he's excited to get things rolling this year. So anytime we can get dual sport athletes and football players to come out, it's two gritty sports, two tough sports, and then we can get kids to compete in both. I think it helps. I think, in my opinion, it helps both sports. So I'm glad to see kids do both, and glad to see how successful we were. It's the one year I decided not to coach football.
No.
Not at all. So, hey, what's up next for the Blue Streaks as far as wrestling? What's up for you guys?
This Saturday on the 3rd, we actually host the Tom Miller Memorial Duels. We used to just always call them the Lake Duels, but Mike Miller, who was our 3-time state champ in Division I runner-up at Central Michigan, his dad passed away, and Tom was a really just all hands-on guy, didn't care what it was. I think he's been over to the middle of the night to do a plumbing thing at Coach Klein's house before, and just one of those guys all around good and did whatever he could for the program. So we decided to dedicate the duels to Tom Miller and stuff and name after him. And then we'll also host a JV round robin this Saturday. So our first big thing, for the season will be the 16th and 17th back here at Hoover for the holiday. So it's always a good tournament.
No, it's a great tournament. I'll tell you what, I know that TJ JR is talking to the tournament director. We're actually hoping to bring Stark Media to broadcast about 2 days of that. So we're pretty excited. Not saying it's in yet, but it's in the works. A lot of transitions this year. As I look around Stark County, some of our head coaches, some guys have, decided to retire, move on. That's happened at Lake. You're following behind Coach Mattingly, right? I mean, been there quite a while. I mean, I'm sure. How does that work for you? I mean, I'm sure. You were ready to step in, but do you have anything there that kind of, from coach or anything that you're concerned with is just going to step in following somebody that's been around that long?
Yeah, and obviously, the pressure I think is there sometimes. In total, he was there for 39 years, 13 as an assistant, and then 26 as the head coach after TD Talbot stepped down. So the weird part for me is when I really sat back and looked at it, I was sitting there with my fiance one night, and I said, it's kind of weird to think about. In 50-some years of our program, I'm only the 4th head coach because you go from Dave Crawford to TD Talbot to Mike Mattingly and now myself. So it's kind of a short list, but it's a really list of quality guys that, ran programs for years. So I just hope I can always live up to what Coach Mattingly did with the program. Hope I can, and not only keep it going in the direction he did, but try to extend it because the guy has a great track record, and I was fortunate enough to learn a lot from him and stuff. And so just if I can keep that going, keep it even be 1/10 of what he was as a coach, I feel like I'd be successful because not only did he was a good wrestling coach, he's a great guy. And the part that makes this transition easier for me is he's still teaching at the school. So I just go in his classroom and I'm like, hey, what'd you do on this one? What'd you do here? And he's more than willing to always help me with the transition. So he even sends me texts, hey, don't forget to do this. So it's actually it's been a really nice, smooth transition too.
Outstanding.
So
I seen Coach sitting over there. So that is fantastic.
Yeah, he clapped for me and he goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to do an interview. I said, I'm a little nervous. And I'm a talker, but when I get up there, I get so nervous I might talk too much.
Nah, Coach, I'll tell you what, we're so excited. JR, I know you've been talking to Coach. We're going to hopefully get them in the room session. Is that?
Yep, we're going to get that scheduled. Yeah, I'll work that out with Coach Villers, and we'll get on up there to Lake, and we'll do an in-the-room session. And again, it's just going to be a great opportunity for us to get into those practice rooms, kind of let people peek behind the veil a little bit of what goes on, and give Coach Villers and his staff an opportunity to talk about the outstanding kids in the program and let them get a little light shed on them for all the hard work that they do, and kind of, again, let people see what we do inside of that wrestling room. Because I think a lot of people don't really know what goes on in there, and I just believe that the young men and young women that are doing this, deserve some credit, because there's not many people that have the strength and the internal fortitude to do what these young men and young women do.
Yeah, and their coaches too. They're so
100%.
dedicated to the pro. And talking about your coaches, you have an assistant coach, Dave Bergner, has been around quite a while.
Yeah.
I've known Dave since he wrestled. So if you ever need any stories, anything to help you out, you just make
I can
sure.
always use some dirt.
Well, I got just a little bit, fishing trips up at Lake Erie. We can talk about those. Oh yeah, we'll talk about those later.
That's
Coach.
one of the things that's tough for me right now. It's not tough. It's just different. You go from guys like I graduated from Lake, and I had Coach Klein as a coach. I had Coach Bergner. Even one of our assistants, Corey Smith, I don't know if you guys know who he is. He was a state placer for same year Mike won his 3rd title, and they were all my coaches growing up. So it's hard to go from not only were they your coach, then you coached with them, and they were always still kind of your boss, and now you're kind of in charge of them in a way. It's a tough one to get through that stuff. But Coach Klein's the one I'm just always like, hey, what do you want to do here? He's that's my ace in the hole, man. I know we got some great coaches, but Coach Klein's my ace in the hole. I call him Dad sometimes even. It's a pretty good we got a pretty good relationship.
No, Coach Klein, I remember Coach when he was over at Springfield. I was coaching at Norton at the time. That's the first time I had met Coach Klein, years back.
Had some dynamite teams.
Oh, great dude, man. I love Coach Klein. Love you. Love working with you, Coach. We're going to be seeing you throughout the season. We definitely are going to have some things scheduled out at Lake or where you're at. Hopefully we'll see you guys. We'll be here at the holiday with you. So, again, thank you for coming up. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you very much to you guys for doing this. I think this is a great exposure for our sport, and it's a great way to bring more people in, whether it be here in person or just that can't make it home watch. I think this is a great exposure for our sport, and can only take us higher and higher as we grow the sport.
Well, we're going to get you behind a mic. You said you like to talk, so,
we'll see how it goes, though.
All right. Absolutely, Coach. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Coach Jesse Villers. Again, Coach, we thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate
Great
it.
job
Thank
tonight,
you, Jesse.
Coach.
Have a good night.
You too, brother. Well, TJ, looks like round 2. Slowly, teams are moving their way to their different mats. Again, real quick, just if you are joining us, we have on mat number 1 in round number 2 will be the Glen Oak Golden Eagles. That's Coach's alma mater versus the Northwest Indians. Mat 2, we'll have the Polar Bears from Jackson wrestling the Canton South Wildcats. We have North Canton Hoover. The Vikings will take on the Dukes from Arlington on mat 3. And on mat number 4, again, the Federal League Power Perry Panthers. And again, you heard Coach Coleman talk a little earlier this evening. They're back. They're back to where they were. And again, another strong team there. They'll be taking on Louisville. Louisville, again, been in transition. We'll be talking to Coach Coleman here very soon. But, and again, in between now on the mats, it looks like we have some of our ladies wrestling, Coach.
Yep. That's it's exciting. And have we had a chance to announce our first in the room with Jim Bostic?
We have, Coach. We've talked a little bit. We've been sharing a little bit about what we hope to bring to our audiences in the Stark Media platform. Of course, in the room, we know that we're going to be our first session will be next Monday evening at Northwest High School. Coach Kali's allowed us to come in. We have others scheduled up. And you've talked about some other great sessions or segments that we'll be sharing. One that's very intriguing. Where are they now? Can you tell a little bit about what you're thinking on the where are they now?
Yeah, and it really has been something that we wanted to focus on at Stark Media since we initially started this thing. And one of our main guys, Jeff Tyler, we call him the Natural. He came on board, and that was one of the first deals that he did was he started tracking down some of these former athletes from the area that had gone on to the collegiate level, whether they were done, whether they were still doing something in college, whether they had eligibility or they were kind of raising a family at that point. But, for me, it was great. Last week I was calling the men's basketball game over at Walsh University, and they were pounding this team out of Pittsburgh Carlow. It ended up being like 115-44. So
Ouch.
I'm looking for filler at that point, right? And so
Oh,
I turn around, I look over, and I see Max Kirby sitting over there. And he's already gotten his career started over there at Edenboro, and went over and talked to him for a little bit. He was there with his girlfriend Annabelle, they were both Fairless graduates, and that's kind of what we want to do. You want to be able to highlight these kids as they've moved on, but maybe we don't know what they're doing there in college. It's hard once people start spreading out over the map. Let's find a way to be able to still shine a light on them. And I think Max Kirby, he's a guy that went down there to the shot last year and really was he state runner-up, third place, I believe.
Yeah, and runner-up.
Yeah.
Place.
So
Okay.
I mean, I think he's going to go over there to Edinburgh and have a heck of a career.
No, Max is just such a quality kid. I've known Max since the youth days, of course, followed him through, as you said. Yeah, he's going to have a great career at Edinburgh. But you're absolutely spot on. Where are they now? From those athletes like that to even some of our athletes that maybe they didn't maybe make it down to the shot at the time or make it down to St. John's back in the day, but yet are just doing incredible things. And they attribute that to our sport, to the sport of wrestling. And, that the dedication, the hard work that JR talked about just led into that classroom. As you talked about that one-on-one, back when I coached, I always used to, talk to kids about, hey, guys, when you go propose to your girlfriend someday, I mean, that's you, man. There ain't nobody else walking in there with you, right? You're going to set one-on-one. You're going into a job interview. That's you. There's no one else with you. So these times, if you walk onto the mat, you do what you do best, it's going to help you down the road. So where are they now? That's going to be one of our segments that we're looking at. We were just talking. I shared another segment. Was thinking about from the corner, getting some of our coaches maybe together, coach, and just sharing and talking about some of the different concepts or maybe even misconceptions about our sport.
It's funny. We talked about it a little bit ago as well. It's win or fail. You get down on that one knee. You're either going to get a yes or a no, right?
Amen.
Sometimes you go in there and you feel pretty confident about it, and it turns out to be the other direction. But yeah, it's exciting right now to see where we can take this thing, to put different little segments together, but ultimately highlighting the best of the best. When we get a chance to go up to the Ironman competition, Top Gun, the holiday tournament, which will be right here at North Canton. And then you get into the duels, and there's some great ones. You talked about Perry kind of they've had a stronghold around the area for a long time. So we want to get in there, get in the room with them, get in the wrestling room. And as my buddy Rick Wright from over there at Northwest will say, peel back the onion, right? We see them out here on the mat on competition day, competition night. But the work that you guys do, and as I told you when we first met, it wasn't for me, man. When I was in high school and Coach Milkovich came over, he said, I want you to wrestle. Here's what you got to do. And I see the conditioning running through the hallways, up the steps. I'm like, and I'm already out of breath. So it's a way for us to be able to see the work that goes into this because you've lived it, breathed it. There is an immense amount of work that goes into being able to come out here inside of that circle and get down. And not a lot of people understand that. Not a lot of people have the ability to do it, but they want to see it. They want to be able to understand it. So this is our way of being able to show you, and maybe we can show a young kid, a young lady, a young man, hey, they weren't into wrestling, and now they want to come out and they want to try it. So it's a way for us to be able to shine a light and maybe bring more people to it. And even as we talk to Brad Scarborough, we need more officials, right? We need more refs.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, Brad was up here earlier. I was hoping to get him on. I hope before the night's out, we'll be able to get a headset on him. He, of course, is going to be one of our lead broadcasters throughout the season. But, no, you're spot on, Coach. Referees throughout all of our sports, right? I don't think it's just wrestling. Yep. I think referees is a real concern with all of our sports. I know that you have a goal to dedicate a show at some point talking about that whole referee journey and how important it is. I think not only to get folks into the referees, but JR also, the fans, right? I think sometimes we need, of course, we're all educators, right, JR? And that was our background. We're former school superintendents. We love to educate, but to educate our fans, our parents, what's it like to be a proper fan? I mean, let's be honest. Some of these guys don't ref anymore because they're just tired of getting yelled at and criticized. And goodness gracious, how about some of the horror stories we hear about people meeting them outside in the parking lot? I mean, it's crazy.
No, and it is hard. And, I think the thing we have to remember is fan is short for fanatical. And, so sometimes there are a few that maybe misstep, misspeak. On the whole, though, most parents and fans understand are they passionate? Of course they are. Are they respectful? Almost all the time they are. So I believe that, those kind of things are understood in the most cases. And unfortunately, the 1-2% sometimes seem to make the most noise.
That's the old adage, right? One bad apple doesn't really make up or speak for the whole bunch, and just one more little chime in here on officials, on referees. had an opportunity to hear a great message from Doug Ute, executive director at OHSAA today, over at the Hall of Fame Luncheon Club, over at Tozie's on 12th Street in Canton. And, you know, there are kids down there in the Columbus area when it comes to high school football. They do not get the Friday night lights experience because they don't have enough refs. So they have to play on Thursday afternoon. They have to play on Saturday mornings because they don't have enough officials. And that, to me, I'm like, wow, man, that's crazy, you know, because we think about Friday night lights. That's high school football, right? And in our great state of Ohio, what that means around here. And again, I'll put Ohio sports, whether it's football, wrestling, baseball, whatever it is, I'll put it up against anywhere in the country. But we need officials to be out there to get the job done for us.
Well, TJ, we have a real special guest with us here. I want to introduce, I told Mr. Hunter, ladies and gentlemen, with us right now, Mr. Theodore Hunter. I've seen Mr. Hunter throughout our wrestling arena. You guys, and those of you around Stark Wrestling, you'll know Mr. Hunter. He's the man that's in the three-piece suit, got the tie, looking sharp, always. Loves Stark Wrestling, loves Canton Wrestling. You know, I got a chance to shake hands officially tonight, shared a little bit about what Stark Media, and boy, his eyes just glisten because Mr. Hunter has had this vision, has been doing this for many years, and I wanted to bring him up, and I want to make sure he gets a chance to introduce himself to TJ. I want to get him and TJ talking because the vision that you know we have here at Stark, Theodore has had for some time. Is that right, sir?
That's true. We've really seen wrestling kind of decline in Stark County for a while as far as getting kids out. But we can bring this back. We really have to start with the early kids, the real small kids, get them interested in it, and then we have to get families behind the kids. This is a family sport.
Yes.
And if the family isn't behind you, you're not going to go too far in this sport. But we have a lot of good families in Stark County, and this really is a mecca for top-notch wrestling. A gentleman that by the name of Eric Kimthorne has asked me to do some things as far as bringing wrestling stronger in Canton. We're going to try to bring wrestling to the elite level. And the only way that we're going to be able to do that is try to collaborate with every coach in here. We can't be separate. We all have to really work together so that we can make this area just like St. Ed's, just like St. Paris Graham. You know, we can do this if we get these kids in here, get them working on a regular basis. And when the season's over, sure, we have to leave them alone for a month. But right after that month, hey, there's kids that want to be elite wrestlers. We have to get them going all year long. That's just the way it is with this sport. There's so many opportunities for kids to get in college, full scholarships. We've gotten kids in college all over the United States. And it's a good thing because Northeastern Ohio always puts out some really good kids. Look, you got Perry here, you got Lake, you got North Canton, you got Tuslaw, you got some really, really fine schools. And of course, you know, we're trying to get things going at St. Thomas Aquinas. It's been off for a few years, but now we got some kids that are coming in. They're working extremely hard. And that's really what it's really about. Wrestling is not a play sport. You can play football, you can play ping pong, you can play basketball. But when you get out there, this is a hard work sport.
Yes.
But it also teaches hardcore values.
Amen. Amen.
When you really wrestle for a few years, you learn what hard work is, and then life becomes a little bit easier simply because you've already challenged yourself pretty good. You see what I'm saying? What we really want to try to do is get First Formula Wrestling and First Formula Radio as a combination. This is what we've been trying to do. And we've just started off just like you have, and we really want to collaborate. I don't want to be in competition with anyone because we're really trying to make this sport grow.
Yes, sir.
And with competition, it's not the competition we see here. Yes, we want that. We want it to grow and we want it to get stronger. But as far as competition with coaches, no, the coaches have to collaborate so that we can all become a lot better. There's so many things that I've learned from coaches like Dave Riggs and different coaches that are around here. You know, you watch how they work with their kids and their teams. They're really good coaches. They're solid. And they put so many kids in college.
Yes.
And this is something that is really the major goal for what I'm really trying to do. Get these kids from preschool to PhD. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Now, First Formula Wrestling, where are you housed out of, Coach, and when do you guys get together? Or is that a youth organization? Just a little bit more about that.
No, we're really not fully started yet. We're getting things going right now. We're talking to a lot of coaches. We're trying to get a site. I'd really like to be able to have a centralized site where everybody would be able to come. And I have a couple of things in mind, but it really has to do with a lot of the school districts. We want to be able to combine school districts for this program after the season is over so that we can keep this going.
Absolutely. Well, I like what you said earlier about, a family sport. I mean, we all think back, right? The Fosnight brothers, the Funk brothers.
Yes.
I had 4 of my own, the Bostic brothers that were in, right? I mean, so, JR was reading what line? We were reading the Alliance lineup, Mazden. What was it?
Yep.
Four Mazden names. So again, speak to that a little bit, how important it is or what you see in that family atmosphere, those brothers and now sisters, right, that are involved.
Yes, indeed. Women's sport is really, in this sport, is really coming up. A lot of girls don't really realize that this is an Olympic sport for women.
Yes.
And these women really, really go at it. You find girls here at this level. One coach, Greg Donahue, actually predicted that in a few years, the girls will have better technique than the guys simply because they listen to the coaches, they work hard. The guys have a testosterone problem sometimes when it comes to listening to the coaches. Girls, they see that the coaches know what they're doing, they follow their instructions extremely well, and then they put a lot of work in on their own. That's most important, really. A lot of the kids that I work with, I coach them. I tell them, look, a coach can only push you so far. Okay, you have to do things extra. We can make you good wrestlers, but if you really want to be a champion, you have to put in the time, a lot of time on your own. And someone can't be pushing you all the time. You have to push yourself. That's what makes champions.
Amen. No, amen. Well, a lot of our ladies, as you can see, Coach, out there on the mats right now, doing a nice job. All 4 mats. Our ladies, we wait for round number 2. JR, anything you're seeing out there?
No, it's my first chance of getting to see this many young women getting after it on the mat at one time. This is fabulous. I'm so excited for the opportunity, like I've said multiple times this evening, for these young women. And I think you are exactly right, sir. We are going to see nothing but growth in our women's wrestling programs.
Oh yeah.
No, absolutely. And I, looking down, I think I pointed us out earlier. One, the Alliance coach, Dane Johnson. I see Dane down there. Dane, of course, is our Ohio freestyle women's head coach. Has done a great job. Work with Dane in putting together our women's freestyle team. Every year that team has grown, and I don't anticipate anything less as the time goes on. There he is sitting in the chair. He's down there at mat number 2, I think it is. So, Coach, I agree with you. We wish nothing but the best for First Formula Radio, First Formula Wrestling. Again, I'm with you. There's no competition. I know TJ wants nothing but just, to promote the sport. We love this sport. He loves all sports. We love sports in general, but this, of course, is our passion, our love. We know what it did for you and I as we went through life. So, I'm hoping I'm going to talk to TJ. I hope you're going to join us in some live broadcast matches down the road. Will you?
Certainly will.
All right, JR, what do you think? We get Theodore with us?
He already improves how we look.
Yeah, I got to say, I don't know what we're going to do about this. We're going to have to talk to him. Do you have any, quarter zips or something? He looks awesome. But no, JR, straight up. And I mean this. Every time I would go to events, and was around, I saw this gentleman just dress the nines, and now I meet him. Now I know where he's at, and it's a blessing tonight.
Very much.
Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate it. One of the things about me dressing, I usually have my wrestling shoes on too, but I really respect the sport. And I talk to a lot of the kids, by working out at St. Thomas Aquinas. I tell a lot of the kids, there's so much that you have going for you right now. And you don't only represent yourself. You represent your family. You represent your school. You represent your people. You represent the United States of America.
Amen.
And when we look at it from that standpoint, a lot of young people are starting to realize that they have to come up to a higher standard if we're going to make the world a better place. And it's up to our young people to do that. We can give them instruction, but they really have to take the instruction and take the wisdom from the older people. But then at the same time, we have to learn from our children.
Yes, we do.
Because I tell a lot of the kids, I say, some of these young people are some of the best people that God has ever put on the earth.
Amen.
Ever. You see what I'm saying?
Amen.
And they're going to solve a lot of the problems that some of us older people have created and have not solved. They're going to have to come together and do a lot of things. Critical thinking, very critical thinking, and cooperation, you see, and fairness. All of that has to play. And when it does, it will make this a better world.
Amen.
I love it, man.
All
Love
right.
it.
Hey,
Well,
God bless you.
All
gentlemen.
right, Theodore, we thank you for coming up. You're the
Thank
best.
you.
I can't
Thank you
wait to
very
work
much,
with
sir.
you in the
Hey,
future here.
give
We're
me
going
a
to make this
call
good. I will. Nope, it's a
anytime.
give. It's a done deal, sir.
Thank you,
God
sir.
love you, brother. Thank you, man.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Privilege meeting you,
God
sir.
bless you,
Thank
sir.
you. God
God
bless
bless
you.
Hey.
All right, and we are in between sessions right now. We have some of the ladies out there on the mats as we are getting ready to start session 2. And again, just for those that might just be joining us, session 2 this evening is we will have Glen Oak against Northwest, Jackson against Canton South, North Canton against Marlington, and Perry against Louisville. And those are slated to start here probably in the next 15 to 20 minutes. We are finishing up right now round 1. And like I said, we have a few scatterings of just some folks rolling around. And on these first 2 mats here in front of us, our young ladies are getting to go at it, which is, again, fantastic to see, to be part of. There was a call for the second session, boys, to start warming up.
Well, JR, while we have a chance, we didn't, I like to run through again preview night. Lake High School, you're where you coach at. Real quick, let's run down what we have so far. Nice roster that they're looking at so far. So I'll start a few here at 106 pounds. Grayson Clemens, a sophomore, 113s this year. Look to be Trenton Schrock, a sophomore. Logan Weirin and Zane Beard. That name's been around Lake for a while, that Beard name. 120 pounds, Dakota Whitaker. 126, got a couple kids there this year. Freshman Braxton Hazard and Max Sponseller. Again, Max been around, a senior. Senior year for Max.
Gavin Greathouse, a senior. A freshman, we have Boston Abdul. There's another wrestling name, that Abdul name for sure.
Absolutely.
138, we have Clan Biltner, who's a junior. Also then at 138, we have Ben Keith. At 138, we have Maddox Harris, who's a senior. 138, Corbin Hill, senior. 138, Alexander Spicer, senior. At 144, Rainer Chacon, freshman. At 144, we have Noah Anderson as a sophomore. Also at 144, Anthony Brino, senior. At 150, we have Everett Nichols, sophomore. At 157, we have Hayden Kutzman as a freshman. 157, Joshua Jordan Jr. 157, Kyle Kasperin as a senior. 157, Oren Ozagler, who's a senior. At 165, junior Matthew Sine. At 165, senior Xander Carson. At 165, junior David Belush. At 190, we have Corey Datsko Miller, sophomore. At 215, we have Micah Roberts, senior. 215, Nate Sponseller, senior. Heavyweight, we have Ellett Smith, sophomore. Anthony Miller, junior. And Owen Ponell, junior. And again, the head coach is Jesse Villers, with assistant coaches David Klein, Dave Bergner, Nick Porter, Corey Smith, and Brady Toth.
Outstanding. Well, I'll tell you what, Tuslaw, that's who the Blue Streaks took on in round number 1. And this season so far, again, we have for them 106, Caden Lawson, freshman. 106, Jason Lynn, also a freshman, 120-pound class this year so far. Ian Lunsford, a senior. Ian been around a bit. Freshman Ethan Hare and freshman Raymond Butzer, also there. Ashley Feather. So the Tuslaw Mustangs working their way into the women's program. 126, got a few there this season so far. Sam Naus, a junior. Luke Hansel, a freshman. Brock Wygant, a freshman at 132 pounds. Braden Grossweiler, freshman. 138, Nathan Eberhard, a freshman. at 144. Been around a while. Max Cooper, he's a senior this year. Did a great job last year, looking to lead that Tuslaw team. 150, Jacob Lyons, a junior. 150, Jonathan Von Will, a junior. 157, Devin Banitz, a senior. 190, Kyle Allen, a freshman. 215-pounders, Jacoby Baker, Ashton Combs, senior and junior respectively. And at heavyweight, Garrett Sanders. This year, the head coach for Tuslaw, Michael Pertrime. Coach Pertrime is assisted by JoJo Tate. Also volunteer assistants this year, Joe Logan Sr. and Isaac Elliott. So I know that TJ is talking to their folks over there. TJ, we might be, our first live event might be there Thursday night, but you're still working on that, correct?
Yeah, I think we'll be all dialed in. Our guy Chris Lappish over there, they always take good care of us at Tuslaw. It's you guys mentioned it. I mean, the wrestling there, I mean, it's as strong as anywhere. I mean, they really get after it. I mean, you mentioned JoJo Tate. Do I remember that name from being a Perry football player?
You remember that name and wrestler.
Yeah, very, very good player. I mean, he was an all-Ohio caliber player, qualified, I believe, 2 or 3 times for the state tournament.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Yeah, really sticks out to me. He was I believe he played middle linebacker on the football team, and it was kind of right towards the end of Coach Wakefield's career.
JR, do you know?
I believe that is definitely accurate. He was a stud in the middle for them.
Yeah, we got to mention here. We got a little comment popped up here on our YouTube channel. Tim Arnold listening all the way out there in Las Vegas. It's sounding good, boys.
Did he make it back from Hoover Dam? Teach.
He made it. He didn't fall in the water.
Oh, outstanding. Oh,
I didn't know.
I
didn't know if maybe he was a little dehydrated from all the other activities.
Yeah, we'll have to share. We're going to definitely get him on air when he gets back. He's going to tell us a little bit. But I'll tell you what, if we can, TJ, we have some great sponsors this year. You've had great sponsors throughout, the inception of Start Media, and I know it's going to grow. I've had a lot of calls, a lot of folks asking questions about that. We'll be sending those guys over to our sales team. But I know that Tim, has brought Hillshire Clark Electric Company, right, to the fold as one of the sponsors for our wrestling division.
Yeah, Hillshire Clark does a ton in the community. They were the first ones to have boots on the ground before Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium even was erected. I don't think there's any other company locally that can say that, and they've been there all the way through. Just was over there last week. We filmed our Stark Media Fantasy Draft, the first of its kind.
Yes.
And we're gonna do that for wrestling.
We
as
are.
Well. We're gonna do that for the boys and the girls. We'll go through all the weights, and between the 3 of us, maybe we'll add another person onto the panel. But we'll pick. Hey, who do you want at heavyweight? I know where I'm leaning. I'm leaning towards the kid down there with the hair.
Wait a minute. I coach that guy. I got to be in there. Okay.
But no, it's great to have companies like that get behind us, because we've had a lot of good ones already. But somebody like Hillshire Clark, who's known throughout the community, and they're doing jobs like they're building out Amazons and the Facebooks and the Googles of the world. That's no slouch right there.
Wow.
These server farms that they do, they're just filled to the masses with electrical pieces, and Hillshire Clark does as good of a job as anybody at that. But again, boots on the ground over there at the Hall of Fame Village. They were the first ones there before shovels even hit the dirt, and they're still there now handling their business. So we appreciate Tim Arnold, who him along with David Cunningham, Padre, part of Leathernecks Nation MC. They sponsored our injury update this year.
Okay.
We have to, when you think about different issues to get behind in the community, to me, it starts with our veterans.
Amen.
The
Yes,
ones that have gone and served, and we know everything about our boy Tim Arnold, what he was able to do. Recipient of 2 Purple Hearts. But those who have made the ultimate sacrifice, the men and the women, to go and serve your country, whether you made it back, there's a lot that haven't. We pay homage there, and it was cool seeing Tim's son Colton Arnold come out here onto the mat before he started warming up, that he had his Save 22 hat on. And the battle for veterans continues even after they've returned home from war. They fight PTSD, health battles, suicidal thoughts, and more. And this really It has blew my mind to hear this, but every day 22 veterans commit suicide. They lose their battle against their demons. And guys like Tom Endorf, founder of Save 22, Tim Arnold, Padre, David Cunningham, who we talked about, all those guys with the Leatherneck Nation MC, and our friends Dave and Brian Bowman over there at the SAM Center, along with Lucia, they're standing up for their fellow soldiers. Save 22 Veterans, it's founded in Carrollton, serves as a resource for veterans, first responders, and those in need alike, focusing on veteran suicide prevention and awareness locally and beyond. Now, here's some of the things that they do at Save 22. It's a veteran-run organization, but they offer a number of different veteran therapy programs, from professional racing, fishing, camping and outdoor adventures, or just a shoulder to lean on and an ear to listen. If you want more information on these guys, go to their website at save22.vet or follow Save 22 on social media by searching Save 22-Veterans. Groups like that, Leatherneck Nation MC, our good friend JP Simon, one of my good buddy, co-founder here at Stark Media. He's got businesses like Simon Says Promotions, which named after him, Simon Says, but He got the Tiger Store, Brits Bows, the Checkered Flag Building with Studio Vibes and Copeland Paints, Brooklyn Rio Boudoir. You can check them out over at that old Checkered Flag Building. They've rebranded it. It's at 256 Erie Street South. And then Spirit of Stark, which was really, it was a spinoff of the Tiger Store, which everybody recognizes the name Studer. Studer was the original Tiger Store 55, and JP kind of took that over, but they didn't want people to just think it was a Maslin Tiger thing. So him and his partner, DJ Zimmerman, they started Spirit of Stark, and that's over at 409 Erie Street North. They got all your custom apparel, embroidery. They're doing Letterman jackets, whatever you need. They've done orders for Tuslaw, Northwest, Jackson. They do everything from golf bags to towels to shirts, polos, jackets, whatever you need. Contact Spirit of Stark at 330-806-6745. And then I got to mention, you probably know this guy.
Who's that?
He's a Jackson fella.
Okay.
Chris McCready's.
Oh, yeah.
Dane McCready's father. And shout out to Dane. I'm a huge fan of his. He went through some injuries this year, but he kept fighting, was in the secondary there for Jay Rohr and that Polar Bear defense, and just kept plugging away at it, even though he was a little bit banged up. But Chris McCready's and his team at Finally Here, finallyhereohio.com. You can go there, get a free hearing evaluation for those of us out there that listen to their music a little bit too loud or just might be hearing impaired. Go over there, you get a free hearing test. Call them at 330-492-1212 or visit them at 1201 30th Street Northwest in Canton. Chris and his team have over 30 years of experience. Now, they sponsored our player of the game in football. And one thing that we talked about with our friends at Hilscher Clark and Tim Arnold was, how about the match of the week or the electric pin, some type of thing to highlight an MVP caliber wrestler each week, or after we go and do a match, we go and do a duel. Let's say Perry Louisville. We want to pick one kid that really stuck out to us and shine a light on them. So finallyhereohio.com, they did our player of the game, and maybe as Chris is listening now, we'll get him dialed in to be our wrestling sponsor. We had a lot of other great ones, man. C.H. Vallis and Associates right here in North Canton. For all of your home, auto, life, and financial service needs, call them at 330-494-2776. Chris Vallis, Jimmy Vallis, proud alums here of North Canton, and I know that they always get behind everything going on inside of the community, so go see them right here in North Canton. They've been here for over 75 years, and companies like McNeil & Sons Tree Service, Kishman's Fresh Market, Miracle Motors 42, the Corey Golf and Event Center, and my guy John Lindsay. Nice. I don't know if you guys have ever had Lindsay's Pizza.
I'm waiting on it.
All right.
I'm excited.
December 1st, when we are in the room.
I'm writing it down.
I'm bringing pizza, chicken for everybody, because I'm going to tell you what, man. My guy John Lindsay, nobody does it like this guy, man. They got the square pizza.
Okay.
Now, if you've never tried this, which I know you haven't because you guys haven't had Lindsay's yet, but they do a breakfast pizza with the egg base. You can do the green peppers and the bacon and the ham, sausage. It is phenomenal. They got pizza, chicken, salad, sandwiches, everything you need. Go to lindsays.pizza.com. You can call them at 330-477-3800. They're inside of Hillsdale Shopping Center at 2827 Whipple Avenue Northwest in Canton, and they're open until 11. So they were the preferred post-game pizza of Stark Media Team. Now they are the after the match.
Preferred post-match pizza.
Preferred post-match pizza, man. John Lindsay and Lindsay's Pizza, they get it done for us. So
that's awesome.
Huge shout out to all those groups.
Well, and I know you picked up a couple, others. One that was very big. I know that we had talked about this, the Drive Mine group. A new sponsor came on board during our wrestling season. And I think one of the big reasons really they came on board is just for the fact of they have a whole line, if you will, of probably two of the most powerful Mother Nature, if you will, Father God, natural cleaning materials, that are out there to keep the mats, the weight rooms, the uniforms, and athletes free of ringworm, impetigo, the nasty stuff that just comes with our sports, Teach. I mean, it's crazy. JR, any thoughts on that? I know you know a little bit about that.
Yeah, the products are amazing. They are 100% harsh chemical free. So, a lot of the products that we've used for a really long time in wrestling to clean our mats and to do blood spills and stuff like that, when you really read the directions, it talks about how you're not supposed to apply that to your skin, not to be in it when it's wet, so on and so forth. But sometimes we continue to put that down on our mat, and then our athletes are their faces in it.
And
so
if
on
I
and so
may,
forth.
real quick, one thing I've learned that you've kind of educated me on is something called dwell time, right? And I mean, back when I was wrestling or even a wrestler, what do? We took a mop, we squeegeed it, we put it down, whip, 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 wiped, or maybe we squirt, wipe, and you get the freshman out there with the mop, and he's wiping up as quick as he can. But he never lets that solution sit on the mat long enough to really do its job. Is that fair?
No, it's really fair. And I think a lot of people didn't realize about dwell time, kill time, wet time, unfortunately, until we all went through the pandemic. So it's something a little bit more top of mind now and a little bit more understanding of it. But just the ability to use two different types of products that are both nature. So it is electrified water, which is H2O3, and then the ability to get after everything in the air so it doesn't end up on our mats, it doesn't end up on our wrestlers, using H2O2, which is hydrogen peroxide. So those two products continuously have the ability to keep our wrestlers safe, clean, healthy, without the use of any harsh and or dangerous chemicals.
That's awesome. And I know Teach too, they have told me that if they go to the website, www.drivemindgroup.com. Again, that's drivemindgroup, one long word, .com. And they have to look into those if they purchase and say they heard about it on our Stark Media broadcast, that there'll be a donation sent back to the Stark County Wrestling Program. So, again, trying to help out the sport itself, not only with the ability to keep our wrestlers and athletes safe, but also financially to help out a little bit as our athletes are moving forward. One of our meetings, Tej, I was, Brad brought up, and I was really hoping Brad would come up here, but I know he's getting ready to start round two, so I don't think we're going to talk to him. Maybe afterwards he'll sneak up. Talked about the scholarship, how many scholarships that are out there for, of course, you know a lot about that, of course, through your journey, but wrestlers, sometimes I don't think they know. And he was talking about scholarships that are never claimed or have really difficulty, claiming those. And I know you've really put a dedicated effort to hopefully change that.
Yeah. Well, first we got to talk. It's Don Turner, correct?
Yes, sir. Don Turner. Yep.
And to hear that number earlier, over $365,000 in scholarship money has been raised.
Coach, I wrote down $462,600.
Wow.
I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, he's been at it for a long time. He's really the, I guess you would call him the president of the Stark County Wrestling Association. Doing those type of things in the community, doing it for these wrestlers here. It's something most of these guys don't do. Is it's the research. Go to the websites.
Yes.
Go talk to your athletic director. Hey, what's out there? What's available for me? And even talking to Curt Hamilton, he said, his daughter and his son both wrestling. They were able to get, it's like a $500 a year renewal thing. Think about what that does. I know most people don't use books anymore because most of it's all on your computer and whatnot. But I mean, just a little bit goes a long way. It's so expensive. And you mentioned, I didn't have to deal with that. And I used to get people, they would drop off little notes in my locker over at Glen Oak High School. And they'd be like, you don't understand what it's like for us to have to go through this. You're a big football player and you get a full scholarship. And at the time I didn't realize it, but I look back on it now and it's such a process. My little sister, she's a senior at Jackson and she's going through the process of filling out FAFSA and what the process or what it's going to look like for her in a year, whether she's at Walsh University, wherever she may go. there's a lot that goes into it, man. So every little dollar helps, it adds up in the economy and the market that we live in now. You need that assistance. If it's there, go out and get it. And I would say personally, it starts with just go and talk to your athletic director. Say, listen, what's out there for me? Because they all know. And again, shout out to Tom Oakes and what he does here at North Canton. Talking with Curt earlier today, he said there's nowhere else we'd rather have this thing at. There's certain schools that they don't have the size, they don't have a gym size like this to be able to lay out, have your formats. And, this it's something I think they want to make sure that they keep here. It's been here. This is the third year. Fourth year was canceled because of COVID.
Right.
But, they do a phenomenal job. So shout out to Curt Hamilton, Don. I believe he mentioned a gentleman to me who his son is a coach at Northwest. Is it Walter?
Well, Dave Talarczyk.
Dave Talarczyk. He talked about Walt and Dave and what they've done. So it's a great group of guys alongside yourselves that I'm just now becoming introduced to, man. And so glad that I've had a chance to meet you and now work alongside you guys. But there's some great people out here pushing this sport forward. Get behind it. If there's anything that you can do, just as JR mentioned, go to drivemindgroup.com. And for every purchase, a little bit goes back to that scholarship fund. Go and do it. And for me, I try and I guess as a former offensive lineman, act like I'm the smartest person in the room. But when you guys were breaking the science down to me last week, when we were over there at inside the vault at Stark Media Studios, and to hear about this product, so many people are going through things that have all these chemicals in them that, put that on your skin and what's that doing to you? To hear what you guys have and what you guys are involved in, that to me is something that needs to be world renowned. People need to find out about this. We're going to spread the word to the masses. And this is a product that should be used in every high school in North America, if you ask me.
Yeah. Now, we agree with you, not because, we have an opportunity to share it, but just, again, being educators, what we've learned, trying to and what you had said about, the skin. I'll tell you what, my wife is a nurse, been a nurse forever. I'll tell you the one that JR and I are really focused on is trying to get, some of this, the hand sanitizer that has so much alcohol. People don't realize how much that absorbs into their skin. There's a lot of studies out recently about liver problems, and I just really fear for our first responders and docs and nurses. So, a lot of education. That's the beauty, ladies and gentlemen, of Stark Media. TJ has a platform here. Again, yes, he's all about the athletics. He is the man. I mean, we love talking to him. Outstanding. But he's also, again, hearing his vision, where he wants to go, the information he wants to give and educate, if you will, the masses, our listeners and viewers out there. A lot to be said. So looks like round 2 about getting underway, guys.
Jackson Polar Bears, Canton South.
Uh-oh.
We're rolling.
They're starting. I see looking at all 4 mats. Looks like we're going to start down low. I noticed in round number 1. One thing in wrestling, ladies and gentlemen, if you're a little bit learning about the sport and very much about that, one of our bouts, they actually started with the upper weight. So they do have the opportunity through a dual decision of the coaches to pick a pill or to pick a weight class to start at that weight class. So I believe the Lake match in Tuslaw, they started at heavyweight. So their first bout was at heavyweight. And then they went right back down to the lightweights and worked their way through. But looking out at what we have here, all our lightweights in action.
And now Curt, after having that conversation with him earlier, he was a longtime coach for Marlington.
That's right, TJ. Yep, he was over at Marlington. Great guy, built the program, did a nice job over there. But again, as he is now serving with the Stark County Wrestling Coaches Association. Don, as you saw, Don making the announcement. Don's been around a long time, right? I mean, and we got to have some of these young guys step up. And, as Coach Hunter had talked about, Theodore, and again, Theodore been around a while and passing that wisdom on to the young ones so the young ones can take up and take over.
See those Gleno Golden Eagles over there getting a little high, a little breakdown, getting my shameless plug in from alma mater.
Uh-oh. Hey, that's all right, brother. Absolutely.
The green and gold, man, getting ready to take the mat over there. But, one more time, we do have to mention our officials again because, Curt mentioned a lot of these guys are volunteering their time tonight, to be here because they love wrestling. They love the sport. They want to see it advance. And so for these guys to come out here on a Monday night, right after the holiday, giving their time, shout out to all of these guys, Brad and everyone else who's officiating tonight, giving your time to these boys and girls, great thing you're doing.
No, absolutely, Teach, because, had they been paid, right, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that per se, but yet they said, nope, not for us, put it back into the scholarship fund. And all the gate, as Mr. Turner said, the entire gate is going to the Stark County Scholarship. And I will tell you, brother, I had two of my boys receive that scholarship. Was it three? Two or three of them did receive. I think it was three, actually. Josh, Justin, Jimmy, all three. So they received that scholarship. It helped them. And all three of them, brother, down at your alma mater, man, Ohio State. So, yeah, love it.
I once talk about absorbing alcohol into your body. I once did that and challenged Tommy Rollins, and that was probably the dumbest thing I ever did.
Oh, okay. You challenged Tommy Rollins.
Yeah,
Okay.
You get a little bit of the liquid courage in you, and you're all out at a party and having a good time, and you want to sit down and arm wrestle after playing a round of cards.
Okay.
Arm wrestle a national champion, multiple national championships for Tommy, and yeah, maybe bit off a little bit more than I could chew there, but hey, it was a fun time. We all enjoyed ourselves.
Oh, do tell. Well, thank goodness it was just the arm, because I think if you'd have went up, even though as big a dude as you are, Tommy worked that leverage a little bit. But no, we love Tommy, right? I'm hoping that we get a chance. Of course, him and Jesse Lang, those wrestling fans out there know the Rudis company. I believe they founded Rudis, if I'm not mistaken. And I know Stark Media, we're going to talk to them someday, and we love the sport. They love the sport. Great people. Yeah,
there's one guy that that I probably enjoyed watching more than any wrestler I've seen out there was Kyle Schneider and what he was able to do.
Wow.
I mean, just an animal out there, man. Great, just nicest guy off the mat. But you get him inside of that circle, boy. Whew, strap up.
Absolutely. And then to watch him at the Olympic level, what he did there for our nation. I mean, just so proud, so proud. I'm not going to lie. It broke my heart a little bit when he went over to and I understand why. I went over to, the Pennsylvania area to work at the club a little bit there. But you know what? The guy loves the sport. He promotes the sport hard, and great role model for our young men and women. I'll tell you what, a lot of action. Where we're hearing it, Teej. Is that over there at your
It is.
Yeah, looks like a Golden Eagle might be getting pinned. He's fighting to get out of it. He did thus far. And, yeah, it's good to see that intensity when you got Northwest over there. And, I don't know how it typically breaks down within duels throughout Stark County, but, I mean, would you typically see Northwest and Glen Oak in a duel?
No.
Probably not, being that they're in different conferences, right?
Different conferences, different size, but that is the one thing I will say about wrestling, unlike maybe football and maybe even to a degree basketball. Your smaller schools can compete with some larger schools a little more often, but you are 100% correct. Just with league schedules and then tournament schedules, sometimes it's really hard for non-conference schools to get dual scheduled.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're right. I mean, not really sure you guys can talk to the football side of things. We always, because, you only have your 10-week season. Wrestling, we have to deal with points, right? The state gives us so many points. Depending upon the event you go to, that event is worth so many points. And so you want to maximize your points with the maximum number of matches. I know that Jackson and a couple of our other schools will be heading down to the Wheeling Park Duels, right? 2-day event. And what's beautiful about that is, for 2 days, they'll come home with close to 10 matches, right, between the 2-day period. So, you're exactly right, JR. They got to watch that, and they want to maximize, their time and effort on the mat.
I can tell you from a football player standpoint, as a former offensive lineman, there was no defensive lineman I hated going against more than a guy who was a former wrestler who knew leverage, who knew how to play with his hands, who could play lower than you, knows the flexibility, knows how to put your body into different positions that's going to get you off balance. And I remember a guy, he actually ended up wearing number 72 there for the Scarlet and Gray right after I had graduated. I kind of feel like I played a little bit of a role in getting him ready for the Big Ten, but it was Dexter Larimore out of Indiana. And Dexter was just an absolute stud. I believe he was a 2-time AAU national champion. And, he just would give me fits in practice. And for me, made it easy when I went out there on game day. If I could handle this guy who's giving me all these problems as a former wrestler and he's working me in practice, we always talk about that practice. You you go hard in practice because it prepares you for game day. And a lot of guys, they don't like practice.
Nope.
Allen Iverson's one of them, right? Practice, but
Practice?
So for me to have that and then go out there and compete on Saturdays, it made it easy because he had me prepared, and I would take him over any defensive tackle any day, just because to know that leverage. It was, when you're already 6'4", 6'5", and you got this guy who's 6'3", 285 pounds, and he gets underneath your pads, and it's difficult. It challenges you, and Dexter Larimore was a guy that challenged me a lot.
No, and I'll tell you what, it's funny, and Tim I know is out there, like you said, he's listening. I did see a text from him, TJ. I don't know if you saw that, but he said he needs to see the Colton Arnold match when it comes up. So I rest assured him, of course, you will be doing that. But I know when I had a chance to coach Colton in the youth program, Colton had gone up against kind of a similar story, a young man on his team. And, for whatever 1 year, Colton kind of dominated this guy. The next year, this young man came out, and I don't know that he dominated Colton, but he definitely gave Colton a little bit better run for his money. And Tim went over to the guy's dad and said, "What did you guys do?" And he goes, "Wow, we wrestled in youth last year." So he goes, "You did?" And that, kind of started Colton on his journey. Tim brought Colton into the room, and I, again, had the pleasure of coaching him at the youth level, but then watched him develop. And it's just as you had said, and JR, of course, can speak to this as a football coach, the hand fighting, the footwork, the leverage, getting those hips underneath you, as you spoke to. And it makes a huge difference, on that football field.
Oh, it definitely does. And, I believe, that most football coaches, I think most coaches in general, prefer their athletes to be multi-sport athletes. I know we push it a lot at Lake. And again, you want your kids competing all the time. And they need some breaks mentally, physically, from one sport to the next. And you work on a different muscle group as you move from one sport to the next. But those skills a lot of times are very transferable. And, TJ hit it. Again, the wrestler that can play O-line and D-line can just be a bear for people to try to handle. And you're exactly right? Low man wins, inside hand position wins. And those are two things that, wrestlers definitely can bring to the table.
These Northwest kids are putting it on Glen Oak over there. This kid's up 5-0 right now. No, and we only have 1 minute rounds for this event.
Correct.
Yes, you're right, Teach. Usually high school matches are 2-minute periods, 3 2-minute periods, and a preview. They'll cut that in half, as JR just said. 3 1-minute periods. So in that 1 minute, man, you got to get after it, right? And it sounds like they are over there on mat number 2.
Now, do we know who Colton will face? These are all preset?
We don't have a lineup card like we will Thursday night. When we do that live bout out there, so we'll know exactly who it is. So it just depends. We really don't know. Maybe Tim does. Maybe he can let us know. We'll share if we can figure that out. Let's see. They're wrestling
Canton
South. So let's see what we have at heavyweight for our Canton South team. And okay.
Looks like a big fella over there.
Well, and I'll tell you, it does, but
they don't list their weights.
Yeah, they don't have their weights down. If they are in order of weight, maybe a young man by the name of Mo Crable, don't know, but we shall see.
One kid I'm looking forward to seeing this year. It was a little bit of a struggle for him in football, and even last year it was a very unfortunate set of circumstances up there at Wadsworth, and I want to say it was districts that would have been up there, but Ben Holzapfel.
Yes.
He was DQ'd in that event, and it was, I'm gonna say it, a little shady how it went down, because when you go to weigh in, there's a certain process that you can't walk over to a certain area. You can't warm up out in the hallway or the walkway back there. And literally he was just kind of jumping up and down. It wasn't anything crazy. I had eyeballs on it, and they DQ'd him. I think maybe there was a school that turned him in, kind of told on him, and we know who that school was, and it was unfortunate. So I know that Ben Holzapfel is hungry to get back out on the mat. He dealt with an ACL deal that he went through. I think he finally came back for week 10 of the football season, made an impact right away. Tough as nails kid. I know he's got a lot of interest for some colleges. Youngstown State is heavy on him. Coach Doug Phillips up there would love to have a linebacker like Ben Holzapfel. So I know Ben is ready, feeling healthy now. He's ready to get out on the mat and do some things.
No, absolutely. I know Ben too play. I tell you what, I do a little announcing for lacrosse. Ben's also plays lacrosse. Strong lacrosse player, loves the game. And I'll be honest with you, that's when I kind of realized one day I was getting ready to announce a Jackson game, and I didn't see Ben. Where's Ben? And that's when I kind of had been told what had kind of happened with that leg. And
it was during lacrosse season, right? Early in the lacrosse season,
very early on. And that just breaks your heart, and better than anybody, brother. Injuries are part of the game. We get that, but still breaks your heart.
And the conversation that I had with him right before he went out there for his first football game this year was, you've got to find a way to put it out of your mind. I did my right knee twice. The first time was the patellofemoral ligament. The second time I tore the medial retinaculum. It was a total dislocation. The kneecap actually went from the front all the way to the back.
Oh, geez.
And so, I understood what he was dealing with, because you're constantly in your own head thinking, the moment I go back out there first play, it's going to happen again. Maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I'm rushing back too soon. And I just went up to him and gave him a big hug. I said, listen, man, you had a great doctor. You've done your therapy. Trust in it. It's in God's hands now, and just go out there and just give it your all, Don't ever not go 100%, because that's when injuries do happen. Just go full tilt, let the chips fall where they may, and trust that you're healed. And I think the message got through to him, man. It's exciting to see kids that, they mentally, they may not think that they're able to, but squash that little green man in the back of your head, and we're all capable of doing great things. You just have to believe in yourself. And what Theodore told me as he got off with you guys, this is a confidence builder. Yeah. This sport right here builds your confidence.
No, absolutely. And again, like we talked about earlier, right? You're the one that brought it up, that one-on-one. You walk out there, there's no other 4 other guys on that basketball court or 10 other guys with you on that football field. It's you. And win or lose, it's you. But you're right, it does build that confidence. And, again, I think that's what's exciting. I can't wait to see what we have in store for the Where Are They Now, because I think we're going to hear a lot about that, how wrestling built that confidence, built that up to get their degree, start a business. Hard telling where it's going to lead. But I'll tell you what, some exciting at times are ahead, ladies and gentlemen. Stark Media, just getting started.
In the room with JB, man, this is gonna be fun. I thought our first one was gonna be at Norton. Your old stomping grounds. We'll make our way up there eventually.
Yeah, it's just funny you say that. I look across over at Northwest. Art Kayla, I don't know what that guy did over there. I'm looking over at his bench, and I see Dave Talarchik. Now, Dave, of course, was a head coach himself. He was over at Jackson. And, of course, he had 2 sons that wrestled. His last one just graduated, teaches at Northwest, so I get it. So Dave left Jackson, went back to Northwest. But if you can see across the way, Teach, sitting right behind him, or right beside him, a young man by the name of Danny Stats. And Danny was Norton's head coach. Danny decided to, moved on from the head coaching ranks. So now, Art's room of coaches just went, again, up to another level, let alone the K-Line name and history they have. Interesting about Danny was my only state champ. I had a chance to coach. I coached Danny in high school. The year he won his state champ, he was our second state champ out of Norton. And I'll tell you what, Coach, just an awesome, awesome young man. I hope we get a chance to get him on a headset someday.
What weight did he wrestle at?
167. I believe 167, 175. He was an upper weight. Went on to wrestle at West Virginia. But again, just a great young man. And it's funny. You see him today, and it's still, hey, Coach, how are you? It's like, dude, it's Jimmy. No, I can't do that, man. It's Coach. I'm like, all right, whatever. But no, so we'll get Danny up here sometime. Danny's a great guy.
Can you guys speak to the process of, heavyweights? They don't have to go through it as much as some of the other guys, but the making weight and what you put yourself throughout the week, getting ready to be able to make that weight and be ready to go.
Yeah, and it almost, to a degree, goes back to what you were even saying about injuries. It's such a mental thing. And I'm really glad, and Jimmy can speak to this much better than I can. Back in our day, there was just no rules, no regulations. I mean, you would drop weight. I mean, I can remember playing football coming off the football field at 195 pounds and getting ready to wrestle 52 in a couple weeks,
man.
and so the things we did back then, I'm so glad they don't do anymore. And the number I hear mostly from most coaches, most programs, is right around that 8-pound number is about where they want to be. They don't want to drop really too much more than that. And I'm so glad that has taken root in the wrestling program. But again, it is the whole discipline thing, right? Of not only what we're training, it's what we're putting into our body. And, this sport is a very mental heavy sport. They all are. And sometimes I think it is the piece that is missed a lot in coaching and in athletes trying to get themselves ready physically. The mental piece is so huge to it, and cutting weight is a huge mental hurdle for a lot of wrestlers. Jimmy?
How about this pin right down here? Potential coming up. Wow, man,
nice
he was
cradle.
fighting for it.
He had that cradle in deep.
Yeah, he did. No, that was very nice. Well done. Oh, looks like time ran out. Did not get the pin, so it looks like we're going to move into the next period. But no, you guys are spot on, and it's the tough part. And you guys know this, obviously, as football coaches, and I can tell you as a wrestling coach, and I used to go to football practice, talk to the football team, and one of the big things that the football players would tell me was like, "Coach, man, I like to wrestle, but I don't want to lose any weight." And first thing out of my mouth is, partner, you don't have to lose an ounce, But yet, just through like you said, Teach, just through the hard work in the room, the running, the conditioning, the stuff, you're going to lose that weight. I can tell you, I used to watch kids basically transform because they're losing that baby fat. They're thinning down, and some guys are like, oh, that's not a good thing. It's like, partner, that's going to make you stronger. It's going to make you faster. It's not going to, but yet there was still that. You guys in football have a little bit of that, mental side again, right? The mental part of the game where if I lose any of that weight, I got to be that big hulking mass of, and of course you're a lineman, you kind of understand that body size, but JR's right. What used to be done in the past, and again, maybe one of our shows, we'll talk to them the horror stories. I really want to bring many of those up. But no, all of our athletes have to go through a urinalysis test. They are told basically through that testing how much they are permitted or not permitted to lose weight, and that's a good thing. They are much more looking out for the health of these athletes and the program itself. So any of you young kids out there, mom and dad, you're listening, watching our showcast right now, please, weight loss, don't think about that. Yeah, a little bit's going to happen, but I tell kids that happens naturally, right? I mean, it happens through your hard work. It happens through, like JR said earlier, good nutrition. And that's the biggest thing, guys, really, is just the whole nutritional side of what our kids do or don't eat. And,
staying hydrated, please. Stay away from the Rockstar energy drinks and all that stuff. You think it's giving you a boost, and it's not. It's just dehydrating you even more. So no substitute for what 75% of your body already is, and that's water.
Amen, brother. Water is water.
This is a hell of a battle going on here between Northwest and Glen Oak. These guys are excited. They're all wrapped around that mat. They're barking, they're yelling, and it's getting physical over there. That's obviously, to me right now, it's been the most exciting part of the gym here over the last 15 minutes.
TJ, look out there, JR. What is exciting for me, been around this sport for so long, is the numbers. And I made comment way back, last year with Glen Oak when I saw their numbers, your alma mater, the numbers growing. Look at Northwest. Coach Kalai was on with us earlier. He said he came back to rebuild the program. When you look across those black warm-ups, Northwest, the number you see over there, that man is well on his way to rebuilding that program.
The Glen Oak team is just fabulous that there's that many kids, because they were down for a while. Their numbers were, and it is so fantastic to see that.
Yeah, we used to have a saying in football in our offensive line room: the leaner you stay, the longer you play.
You bet.
So you don't need to carry that extra weight on. You keep some of that body fat off of you. It's better for you, and you're going to be better for it as an athlete, and you may end up competing and playing longer. Whatever sport you're in, stay lean, keep your body fat down, do the right things. JB, as you said, the nutrition side of things, it's so important now. And there's so many different things that you're going to see on the internet, and do this diet, do that diet, consume this, but all of us know our body more than anybody. You know, listen to what your body tells you, because your body does talk to you, you know, and respond to it and give it what it needs, give it the right fuel.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, Tej, far side, JR, look, you got Perry, Louisville. Again, boy, nice chain wrestling there between those two guys. Leg up in the air, trying to return to the mat. Oh, runs out of time, but boy, those two guys going at it over there.
That's our guy Brad over there.
Is that Brad? Oh, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, Brad Scarborough, as TJ said, you know, one of our officials here. He will be at the table with mic on Thursday. TJ believes we'll be good to go. Our first live event will be Tuslaw versus Louisville. The Leopards heading over to Tuslaw. And we're going to be broadcasting from the gymnasium live that night. And a lot more to come. I'll tell you what, TJ's got some great ideas, great plans for his wrestling division.
Now, that was the Louisville coach that you had on earlier?
That was the Louisville coach, his father,
Okay.
who is, he is assistant coach over there. That's Jeff Coleman, head coach Micah. They will be probably, I think they're lined up, coach, for our second in the room session. But yes, Jeff, a big player in our international program. He is the Ohio U.S. team leader for both our freestyle and Greco. So all the head coaches report to Jeff. And Art's uncle, Chris Kali, who we'll hopefully get a chance to introduce you to, is our Ohio chair. Also serves on many of our national committees. And who knows, we've been talking to Chris a little bit. Hey, what's the chance of getting a little Bruce Baumgartner or, some of those guys on Stark Media Wrestling interviews. So we're working on it.
Hey, Jimmy, we keep mentioning as we talk about some of our USA Ohio coaches, we have mentioned Greco, we've mentioned freestyle, and you've also mentioned folk. For the people that maybe are just listening, getting familiar with the sport of wrestling, or even maybe they just follow the career of their high schooler and they don't really understand the difference. From a 100,000-foot view, what really are the three differences between Greco, freestyle, and folk style?
No, that's good, JR. Well, Greco's probably the easiest of the three to kind of, differentiate. It's really an upper body style. Greco, of course, is an Olympic sport. There are many colleges that give scholarship for just Greco wrestling. You don't see it, of course, at the USA Nationals at the collegiate level, but Greco primarily is an upper body. All the attacks happen from the waist up. You're not allowed to lose your legs in any kind of an attack. So, as Art had said, Art is our Ohio Greco coordinator, head coach, and his job is to improve our Greco program. Ohio's always been a little bit down in Greco. Freestyle, of course, is the other international style. We see that at the Olympic level. That is a lot like folk style, except that where you see, and we're watching here on the mat, a lot of these guys with the riding, they'll be riding on top. You get a chance to pretty much, take that athlete down, expose their back, a little bit different to where, and we'll get into this in some of our live events. We'll do some educating. When you see a guy on his back, he has to be held in position for a count. We'll talk about that with the official. In freestyle, all you have to do is expose that back. If you expose the back just in a roll, you just roll on your butt and expose your back to the mat, that's points for that opponent. Plus, if there's no action happening on the mat, they'll put those wrestlers back up to their feet, and really it's a lot more mat attack or feet attack from that neutral position. I'll be honest with you, the United States is the only country that wrestles folk style. I wish we just go to complete freestyle all the way through. Folk style, again, difference. You're on your feet, that neutral position, but a little different when you go into the later periods to what we call the referee, or kind of an up and down position. Again, ladies and gentlemen, stick with us throughout the Stark season. We're going to educate you with that a little bit more. But and also so that right now, of course, we're in the folk style season. This will take us till March. We'll then take a little bit of a breather, about a few weeks, not months, couple weeks, and we go right in. So the spring season is where we will wrestle freestyle Greco. And I think Stark Media is going to be right there at Matt's side, bringing that to you also.
This match over here between Glen Oak and Northwest is scoreless right now. About 12 seconds. I believe it's still the first period. And you got a couple lopsided ones. The one just finished up over here was 10-3 in favor of Canton South. And then this one down here, 8-1 in favor of North Canton.
Jackson got the guy on his back over here. Did we get the fall? Yes, we did. Well, one thing about the preview guys is we don't, they're not keeping a team score as you heard TJ sharing. We have individual scores. We can, you can take a look at, share, but we're not keeping a team score in the preview. Again, just giving these coaches, these athletes a chance to warm up. Hey, giving Stark Media, giving our wrestling division a chance to warm up. So,
and all the fans out here who've showed up. I mean,
it's great.
They've came out, filled out well. I mean, standing room all the way around the top of the track here as we're looking down, and for them to be able to get eyeballs on what they're going to see here coming up with some of your duels and your different your big ones, the Holiday, which will be back here, and Top Gun. A lot of these guys will be competing. Not all of them will be, but some of your premier elite ones will. And look, they're still battling it out over there. It's still scoreless with about 29 seconds left. That's the excitement you like to see. Northwest is going to take it.
They did, yep. Arm is raised. Outstanding. But again, like you said, Teach, look at those guys. They're around that next athlete, hands in the middle, the camaraderie, the brotherhood. All sports have it. We know that. But just great to see as they send their next athlete and their next warrior out.
Selfless. It's good. It's good to see that. Stand up for your buddy, cheer for your buddy, coach your buddy up. Everybody's out here working hard, and you're still young guys, and we could take all the coaching that you can get.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Glen Oak, again, kind of focused. You got me focused on that, man. Nice, great. That's a gator roll, front headlock, gator roll right in. Kid's on his back. And officials down there with the count. I'm going to put up 3 on a near fall. Young man from Glen Oak working well, moving well.
Tell me a little bit about this Golden Eagle wrestling coach.
Well, I tell you what, Coach. I mean, I want to say that is Coach Mike Hind. All right, Coach Hind this year, assisted by Adam Black, Kale Canole, and Lucas Krumloff. Lucas, I know that name from the Maslin program. Lucas been around for a while. Mike, done a nice job building that program. I think he's been there about, I want to say 3 years, Coach. And JR, he's given him 3 year up. But has done a nice job to build the program. I'm anxious to do get in there, the in-the-room program with them, see how it's going, and, go from there. So I'll tell you what. Hey, Coach, I see Curt Hamilton here. I'm going to give you my headset to Curt. Curt kind of organizing this, and maybe you can share a little bit with the program and share a little bit with Curt. Curt, why don't you join TJ?
Absolutely. Hi, guys.
Curt, man, I'll tell you what, this has been exciting, right? I've kind of seen you walking around out there, taking the whole thing in, and what you guys have organized here. And one of the things that really stood out that you have to talk about is the scholarship dollars that have been raised. Where do these wrestlers go? Is it a website? I mentioned reach out to your athletic director, but how do you get these dollars, which again, over $400,000 in scholarship money has been raised? That's unbelievable.
Well, just give you a little background. Don Turner, who spoke earlier tonight, he and Glenn Mears, who, as Mr. Turner mentioned, just passed away earlier this year, and Walt Talarchik and some of these big, great names from Stark County Wrestling back in the late 70s, they started raising money and getting some donations and some fundraisers, and then it just grew and grew and grew. What I'll have to get you guys sometime is one of our Stark County Wrestling banquets. It has a list of every scholarship winner all the way back to the first year it was given out. It was a $200 scholarship given out in 1979. And then, so we used to have an all-star wrestling match. We now have the preview, which does much better for us. We have a big reverse raffle. And then we have some great donors and some people who Stark County Wrestling has been good to them, so they've been good to us. But what we now give out is every spring we have wrestlers, and we've actually expanded it about 15 years ago to statisticians and support personnel who have worked within their wrestling programs for at least all 4 years of high school. They can apply. It's not based at all upon wrestling ability, prowess, or success in the sport. It's based upon academics and need. And at this point, we give out 10 excuse me, $1,000 scholarships each year. And then 3 years ago, through a very, very generous donation, we were able to make all of those scholarships semi-renewable. So we now give out 10 scholarships that are $1,000 in year one, and then $500 each of the next 3 years.
Oh, wow.
It's really, I'm in awe of guys like Don Turner and Walt Talarchik and Glenn Mears, and the numbers are, the names are unbelievable. Guys that they don't even live in Stark County or Ohio anymore, but they still give back every year because this has been such an amazing thing. I have 3 kids, my son and 2 daughters. All 3 of them got a Stark County Wrestling Scholarship. My 2 daughters as statisticians. The committee meets and they go over the applications anonymously. We encourage all wrestlers and support personnel to talk to their head coach at their high school and get the application form. And if any of the coaches need help with that, they can just contact me. I have it on a Google Doc, and I can just share it with them, and they can fill it out and send it in. I'll be honest with you, there are a couple years that we didn't have 10 applicants. Some years we have 15, 20 applicants. One year we only had 6 or 7 applicants. Well, obviously they got the scholarships.
Wow. So if others out there listening would like to be a part of this, help donate, help put money into the scholarship fund, how do they go about doing that?
The best thing to do would be to contact Don Turner, but you could also contact me, Curt Hamilton. I teach at Marlington High School. You could get a hold of me relatively easily. David Talarchik, the great Walt Talarchik's son, he teaches at Northwest. We would be more than happy to guide anyone in the right direction.
That is fantastic. And so anyone that is interested, it is an amazing cause, amazing organization, doing good since 1979, and, taking care of our wrestling family.
To our knowledge, there's no other county in the state that does something quite like this. I know a couple of times we've had Eric was his son, Coach Cubberly from Defiance, and before that from Eastwood come down and come to our banquet and basically see what we did, so he could try to start something up in the greater Toledo area.
Yes. Coach, I know Coach Cubberly, so I started my teaching and coaching career at Eastwood.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's fantastic. That is wonderful. That is for sure. So what's your thoughts on tonight? I think a really good crowd. There's some good wrestling going on out there. What are your thoughts?
Well, for years and years, we did a Stark County Wrestling All-Star match about, Jim, what would you say, 2 or 3 weeks after the season was over, we did our All-Star match. We did the All-Star match about 2 or 3 weeks after the season was over, back before we did the preview.
Oh, yeah.
And the All-Star match, it was hard to get the kids to take it super seriously.
Right.
And, people in Stark County want to come out and see the best wrestling in the county, and that wasn't always happening. So we made the decision 4 years ago.
I was gonna say, I remember I was at the Tuslaw. Remember that you were there too. I know, and yeah, and I get it. The guys after the state tournament's a little bit, they've reached that pinnacle. It's a little melodramatic. The weight cut's not there. You guys shifting this to a preview, I think made a lot of sense.
Well, it gets even more kids involved. I tell each coach, I match them up, try not to match up schools in the same league. And I say, listen, try to match up 18 matches. And I'll be honest with you, we don't check. Some of them might have been 22. I don't know. Sure. But so we get a lot more kids involved, which also means a lot more parents here, which means we do better financially for the scholarship fund.
I'm just curious, as you mentioned that, anybody happen to check the gate yet? Do we know what we have, or that won't be till later tonight?
I don't know. I see Mr. Turner over there at the admission area closing up shop. All I know is this: we do way, way better financially here than we ever did with the All-Star match.
This is outstanding. Well, I know that you also do a little bit of announcing on your own, so maybe throughout this season, we might be able to pull you away from some of your other announcing duties and have you join us at a match or two down the road. We'd sure enjoy that, Coach.
It would be my pleasure.
Hey, speak again, as we talked earlier this morning on the phone. I appreciate you sending over all that information for us to be able to have for this evening. But the officials that have come out here, we've talked about it on our broadcast here, which is going on about 2 hours and 15 minutes. We want to send a shout out to everybody who's tuned in here. Got our boy Jeff Tyler, the natural, listening. Shout out to him. Tim Arnold out there
Jeff.
in Vegas listening in.
Excellent.
Everybody that's tuned in here tonight, this is just a preview at the preview of what's to come here on Stark Media with our wrestling platform and our winter sessions that are coming up. But these officials, as you told me earlier, they volunteered their time to come out here. Speak to these guys and what they mean to you.
Well, I say volunteer. We try to give them a little bit of money at the end of the night, and Mr. Turner handles that, but most of them donate it back.
Yeah,
they don't need to.
Yeah.
I tell them, feel free to keep it, because what we offer them is unbelievably below the going rate. They get minimal breaks. Jeff Bowman, Lamar Webb, J.R. Easterling, Brad Scarborough, and Greg Walker. They're either all Stark County guys or they have connections to Stark County. They love Stark County wrestling. Many of these guys have kids who have wrestled for Stark County programs. I know their boys. These are just classy guys that want to do what's best for wrestling. One of my other duties, I'm the Eastern Buckeye Conference Assistant Commissioner, and I assign all of the officials, ironically, for basketball and volleyball and track. But we need officials, and the pay is a little better than it used to be. But these guys are coming out here doing this for peanuts. And like I said, we got 5 guys for 4 mats, and these matches are happening rapid fire, so they're not getting much of a break. And I think that's a great thing about the sport of wrestling. Nobody gets into the sport of wrestling because they want to be famous, be on an ABC or NBC on Sunday afternoons or Monday Night Football. They get into the sport because they love it, and once they've been involved, we have so many people that want to give back. I would count myself amongst them. My parents went to a tiny little school down in Harrison County that they didn't have 11-man football. My dad played 6-man football or 7-man football, and I tried out wrestling, and my parents knew nothing. I wrestled through high school, was a very mediocre college wrestler, and then I coached at Marlington for 29 years. And all I know is whatever I give back to wrestling, it'll pale in comparison to what it's done for me.
Amen. And many of us have those same stories, Coach. That's for sure. I can concur. Yeah, Jackson and Canton South moving the way up here. Look to be about somewhere around that 132, 38 maybe. Sometimes tough to tell from up above.
Jackson able to get a victory there in their last match. There's some competitive wrestling going on down here as we've worked our way through. They've been banging it out over here between Hoover and Marlington. And shout out again, Curt. I didn't know, as you mentioned to me earlier, that you spent a lot of time with this Marlington program and developing it and getting it to where it is. So talk about the school out there. Talk about what's going on inside of the wrestling program and even inside of athletics out at Marlington.
Well, wrestling's given a lot to me, and Marlington's been very good to me as well. I came in 1993, was the assistant coach for a few years for a guy that we just put into our Hall of Fame. He's 83 years old now, Bob Hinchcliffe. And he retired that year, and then I was an assistant for a guy named Mike Helm. And then I took over as the head coach for a total of 17 years, 29 total. Marlington, I'll tell you what, Marlington was a very, very good wrestling program for its size back when it was in the Federal League when I was a kid. And they competed as well as the smaller schools could at the time. Bob Hinchcliffe would get all of that credit. And then, I feel like we worked awful hard and did some great things while I was the head coach. And but the time came where my son was coming up through high school, and I had a great assistant coach, Andy Lamancusa, right down below us right now. He was a state champion for West Branch. And the time came, and I turned it over to him, and now I spend my weekends trying to follow my son's collegiate wrestling career around. He wrestles for Lake Erie College up in Paynesville. He's a sophomore, so he's winning some matches, but he's taking some lumps too. I was just telling a friend of mine down below that last year he had a rough year being a freshman, but he's about 5-5 right now. But the best match he's wrestled all year was ironically one that he lost. And I think we can all say that if we've been around wrestling, some of your best efforts have come and when you've ended up on the short end of the stick, but you had to compete at a level that required you to do more than you thought you could. So, he had a great match last weekend where he lost to a kid from Rochester Institute of Technology by fall in the third period, but he was winning the match and came off. And I told him, Brendan, that kid you just beat, that's one of the best kids you've ever wrestled. That kid is a stud, and you were up by one in the third period. And I guess that's a lesson that we can all apply to life. And one thing I like about talking to kids at Marlington, now that I'm not the head coach anymore, I'm a bit more unbiased. I can tell them, hey guys, listen, come out for wrestling. If it's not for you, it's not for you. We'll still be friends if it's not for you. But if it can do for you what it's done for me and countless other guys, then you're going to be way ahead.
Marlington was able to get a pin there in that last match, and they're moving their way up here to the heavyweight. Now it's Hoover and Marlington over here.
Yeah, that the boy just got the pin from Marlington. That's Quentin Hancock's. Just finished his football season.
Had a great year.
Mhm.
We had our Stark Media fantasy draft last week at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and Quentin Hancock's was picked as one of the players, one of our linebackers on those teams. So, yeah, shout out to Quentin, man. He, I know it was a tough year for Coach Phil Morrow. He's back up in the air, a legend in the football universe around here. What he did at Jackson, down at Carrollton, back up here at Marlington. Got his 200th victory this year on the football field. But Quentin Hancock's definitely a bright spot.
Well, I'll tell you a little thing about Quentin. He didn't start wrestling until he was in 7th or 8th grade, and he has come a long way. He's a good athlete, but always love to point this out. He's an even better kid. Polite, gets good grades, and does the right things.
Following up on your Coach Morrow, 200 wins. People hear the number and they're like, it's kind of cool, but the amount of time, the amount of life that he has touched,
big time,
the dedication to all of the programs that Phil's been part of. 200 wins is just unbelievable. It's a lifetime of work. It truly, honestly is. And he'll tell you it wasn't work. It was passion driven, 100%. But yeah, can't say enough about Coach.
Well, I'll tell you something. I did not know Phil Morrow before he came to Marlington. I knew the name from Carrollton, Jackson, and such. But in the, I guess you would say, 6 months that he's been at Marlington that I've known him, I'll tell you what, he is one of the classiest men I've ever met in my life. Selfless, will do anything to help kids, and I tell you what, I can't say enough positive things about him. I know our school district was lucky to have the guy.
Marlington with another pin. You tell us about this kid. Was he a ball player?
He did not play football this year. This is Andrew Hall. He may not look like it from his physique, but he is one of Marlington's golfers.
Nice.
I thought that might take you by surprise a little bit. He's another kid. We convinced him to come out in 8th grade, and he's just stuck with it. And he is a junior now, and just a hardworking kid, does all the right things.
There's combination of sports, and you can look at a kid, and unfortunately, sometimes we kind of peg them into these different spots.
Right.
And I've been doing this since 1986. I don't know if I've ever heard of a golfer wrestler. That might be my first.
Well, I'll tell you this. Like I said, I started at Marlington in 1993. 1993-94, we had a senior who was a golfer, a very good golfer named Matt Boyce. He also was a pretty darn good wrestler for us. And then none others until Andrew Hall.
Wow.
That's been 30 years ago.
Good for that young man. That is fabulous.
Well, one thing that I think
makes staring down a 3-foot putt not that difficult.
That's right.
For the green jacket.
Right.
One thing I as I mentioned, my duties as assistant commissioner for the Eastern Buckeye Conference, I speak at all of our banquets, and I've gotten to know the names and even some of the kids and the families of athletes from other schools in the conference. And what you begin to see is the schools that tend to have success are schools that have kids that are going to play not 1, but 2, and maybe 3 sports. I guess it just sticks in my head. Carrollton announced this young man's name this past year as the golfer of the year, but he also is a great basketball player and a great baseball player for Carrollton. Kid named Jackson Renkus, but
really good player.
Yeah, also a scholar athlete, and but that's the thing. And anybody that thinks that they need to just lift in the off season, they're not right. My son played 3 sports at Marlington, and I've always said this: if he would have just wrestled year round and done nothing else, where I think he'd be right now? Wrestling for Lake Erie College, same place he is, but he's going to have memories of being a captain on the football team and being a state place winner in long jump that he never would have had.
Agreed. Big fan of multi-sport athletes. That is for sure.
Our guy Jeff Tyler just chimed in. He said 3-foot putts are always difficult. Another thing here real quick about Phil Morrow, shout out to him. He was one of my coaches in the Big 33 All-Star Classic after my senior year, but he it was cool for him. He actually got to go and see Jackson win a playoff game. They would beat Berea Mid-Park, and he got to go there and see his guy Jay Rohr, who he coached, and one of the best to ever do it. And there's not a deep vault of playoff victories there at Jackson for their football team, but for him to be there, to be able to see that and be on the sideline there with Jay, that was pretty cool. So a lot of great things going on out there at Marlington. And I know my guy, I don't know if your son was with Anthony Sabatino or not, but I've spent a lot of time with Todd Sabatino out on the golf course, and usually heads the wrong direction.
My son is 1 year younger than Anthony Sabatino.
Okay.
On the topic of football, I've got a great little story for you here. So Anthony's senior year, Marlington had a nice team that year. Went 7-3, went to the playoffs, lost to a great Canfield team in the first round. But earlier that year, I don't know if you recall this or not, but New Philadelphia, I thought they had a shot to win the state title. They were great, and their quarterback, I think he broke his leg or something in the Dover game.
Really good player, and I'm drawing a blank on his name.
But so my son, as a junior on that team, he was sometimes he'd start, but he got a lot of playing time at defensive back. And ironically, I'm the PA announcer for our home football games, and my wife runs the play clock. And Steve Miller, our athletic director, was up there and said to my wife, "Well, Gina, you've got to be pretty happy with Brendan. He's getting quite a decent amount of playing time." And my wife had a great comment. She said, "Yeah, we are." She says, I have to admit, I'd like to see him play some offense and catch some passes." So, nothing wrong with that statement. But as that game went along, I'll tell you what, those defensive backs for New Philly were big, strong, and they hit really hard. And so that year, Marlington had a nice little receiver named Ryan Cooley, and tough little guy. He would always catch the ball, and I tell you what, those guys from New Philly would just make him pay every time. He made the tough catches over the middle, and they would just blast him. And as the game went on, he'd get up slower and slower. And at one point, I didn't think he was going to get up, and he finally did. And I looked at my wife and I said, "Hey, honey, if Ryan Cooley doesn't get up, you might get to see Brendan play some wide receiver. Do you still want to see him play, catch some passes?" And she looked over and she says, "Next week, not tonight." And I've always thought that was so well timed,
for sure,
because that they were good, and I think they would have had a shot at winning the whole thing if that kid not had that injury.
Shout out to Canfield; they're playing for a state championship this
weekend. They are. They
and South Range, 6 miles south of them, both playing for state titles.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be calling that game on the OSHA radio network, and they're going to be facing Ironton. And man, boy, they play some tough physical brand of football down there in Ironton. Played with a couple guys at Ohio State, guys like Reggie Arden, and played against Roman Fry, who went to Clemson. They're
river folk, man.
They're a proud bunch of people down there.
I think Ironton, if my football history is correct, I think 2 state championships, but I think they have more runner-ups than anyone else in the state of Ohio, if I'm not wrong.
Now,
they're really close.
I'm thinking back here, about 1998, Lake went Final Four, right? Did you guys get beat by Walsh Jesuit?
Yes.
And then Walsh, I believe, played Ironton for the state championship in fall round.
Yes, was that 97 or 98? Yeah.
Yep. I remember that because I got my butt whooped a couple times by guys like Ryan Tanksley.
Oh, wow.
Taking it to me, man. That was a rough group of guys you had there, man. We actually, I was starting as a sophomore. My quarterback was a sophomore as well, Rocco Milano, and we were playing inside of Fawcett Stadium. And we had homecoming the next night. Well, one of those guys along the defensive line for Lake, I think they dropped Rocco down and broke his collarbone. So his girlfriend was so mad at us because in all of his pictures, he was in his sling like this. She goes, "It's your guy's fault." I'm like, "I'm just a sophomore, I'm trying my best." You guys had a really good team. I had no idea that until this year, that was the last time you guys had a piece of the Federal League.
It was, yeah, 1998.
And shout out, congratulations on what you guys did on the field this year, man. Good stuff.
An outstanding head coach, shout out to Dan and he has got it going there, and a lot of love to those kids in the community, and Mr. Tobin is a great superintendent, and Mr. Harold's a great principal, and Brock Klein, the AD.
Brock's doing a great job, man. Great young guy for that position, doing a great job. Talk about a group of linebackers, man. Whew.
They make my life easy.
Man, I'll tell you what.
Fellas, I got to head down. It looks like we got some matches finishing up, and I want to make sure we make use of all 4 mats.
Kurt, thank you.
Guys, thank you.
Kurt,
and,
thank you.
You guys need anything from Stark County Wrestling, let us know, okay?
Appreciate it,
sir.
Thanks. Have a good evening.
Great stuff from Curt Hamilton from Stark County Coaches Wrestling Association, and everything going on here today this evening here inside of the Hoover Gym. And we'll be out here a lot for not only wrestling, but basketball getting ready to start. Just a great vibe and a great scene inside of this gym tonight. Now, gosh, you can see it on these guys' faces. You can see it as, Jim, you talked about it. The whole group, the whole team getting behind their guys as they're out there for their match, and there's an excitement in the air.
Oh, absolutely, Coach. These guys are ready to go. This is preview, yes, half of a match, but they're ready to go. They're ready to start live Thursday night. Again, we'll be out at Tuslaw as the Leopards take on Tuslaw the weekend. They got matches, so it gets underway. Like Don Turner said, or Kurt had said earlier, this is where it all begins, right? Preview night, and season starts, man. It's going to be exciting times.
Oh, these are 2 good-looking wrestlers right here.
Oh, yeah, Jackson, Canton South down here. Mat number 2. Looks like Marlington had finished up with North Canton, getting in some extra matches here, trying to get as many of the boys a chance to kind of get their feet wet, taste a little Res-Lite, if you will, before the live action starts for the season. Uh-oh. In trouble. What happens with the big guys sometimes? They get that leverage, get underneath, as you guys talked about. Yep, there it is. He picks up the fall. Those boys are moving real well.
This is a good match here.
At 2-1 second period. They're in the referee's position, right? Canton South down. His job is to get escape. He wants to get out of there. Man on top. He's looking to create the fall, and he's going to let him go, give him the 1, can't hold. They're back on their feet, neutral. Stalking around, good motion up and down, trying to find an opening. Little 2-on-1 right there.
Jim, when did you really see that philosophy start to change? Because I know back in our day that you very rarely just let somebody up, right? You rode that and you fought that. You were not giving up that point. When did you really start to see that change?
Yeah, I'll tell you, probably early to mid 90s. I think, you really kind of saw that. I mean, if you knew you were a good takedown guy, usually you'd see that guy was tough on his feet. They just kick him out because they knew that's where their bread and butter. Or if, and you got in trouble, you knew it was time to let him go. But you're right, JR. You see that a lot more today where, a little bit more on our feet. I think that Ohio's always been known. You look around, we've always been known to be a state that's a little bit better than on our feet than maybe overall on the mat, right? You go down to Illinois, you look over at Pennsylvania, maybe a little bit better on the mat with a little bit of the riding and the riding abilities. I think the other thing in high school, obviously different than our collegiate level, is you don't have riding time in high school, right? I mean, so to ride the guy, if you can dominate, you can get those points. That's a good thing. But you're not scoring or getting the ability to get any riding time under your belt.
The excitement's building down there.
Is it? You go down?
Had to go down there and give a little pregame speech to our guy Colton Arnold getting ready to take the mat. There's a buzz going on down there, man. You had to get in his ear a little bit real quick.
Okay.
Pull the flap back and let him know, hey, man, there's people out there in Vegas that are watching.
It's time. That's right.
I'm excited to see him. I know that he was a big worry for us as a two-way guy for them, and
phenomenal
he's just
year.
a man.
And what he did last year, and sometimes I feel like I might get it wrong here. I know it was either a Stark County record or it was a Jackson record that he set for most pins in a season. I think he was like 34.
I know for sure. Yeah, I know for sure he had the Jackson record. And I'm sure Tim, he gets back with share. I know where it started. I know he was awful close to that Stark County, if not, Teach had taken that over. But I know this: he's on a mission, right?
Yeah.
He's on a mission this year. I know that Coach Hepner has the kids write their goals out prior to. I didn't personally see, Colton's goal list, but I know that that's on there. Right?
Yeah, and I know one of those goals, talked about it with them, is right over there, in the yellow and black. Aiden Faulkner. I mean, he's a stud heavyweight. I know that I guess you could kind of say that's his nemesis here now. He's been a two-time state qualifier. I know just a junior, and he qualified as a freshman. I know that. But Aiden is he's a tough player. Here we go. Colton Arnold. Oh, no. Oh, see, I saw a Gleno kid coming out here. I'm thinking, he's going to take on one of my Golden Eagles. But
no, he is a senior. Faulkner's a senior this year, Teach.
He's had a heck of a career. So is Colton, and I think there's going to be a collision course with those two.
Fireworks, baby. I mean, they're going to see each other not only at the duel, they're going to see each other at possibly at section, definitely at districts. Who knows? Depending how bracketing happens, state tournament, Colton gets down there, man. Who knows? We're going to see.
Look at the roll that Colton just did right there.
That was impressive.
He gave up his back to be able to get this pin right here.
He's got them arms secured. He ain't coming up. No,
he knew he had him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, what do we got here? 30 seconds.
30 seconds. We're going to have to talk about that. No,
should have been quicker.
Yeah,
no, but
really, what are you doing, kid? No, that was amazing.
That's one of the things that as we all kind of continue to grow together, some of the terminology, the moves, right? Yep. But you could see that Colton just gave up his back to be able to work that leverage, to be able to roll him over. It's would you call it? It's an ambitious move, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't do that if you're going against maybe an Aiden Faulkner.
Right. No, and he'll definitely work that strategy and so forth. Even though one-on-one, you do have that strategic piece. I will tell you this, Colton years ago, Colton would do that a lot. And as he was learning, we'd be like, my eyeballs would be like, Colton, no, because sometimes you might not get through.
Stuck.
Heavyweight, sometimes it's feast or famine, right? I mean, live by the sword, die by the sword. But no, Colton has that down. That's one of his bread and butter moves. And I'll tell you what, big things out of that young man this season. It's going to be exciting covering him.
Been a heck of a night in the gym.
Yes, it has. Well, it's sad to see it winding down. I heard you say we've been on air for almost 2 hours. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm still excited. It'll be hard for me to sleep tonight. Think about
we're getting ready to hit the 2 hours and 35-minute mark.
Very nice. Very nice. Then we got a pin far side. Harry, Louisville, Coach Coleman, said they were in a little bit of a rebuilding year. Of course, Louisville third in the state last year.
How many did he say they graduated?
Oh, my goodness.
Did he say
9?
7, 8? Okay.
Yeah, it was.
And they all went far. I mean, they were.
Yeah.
They were hammers.
They were hammers. No, they were hammers. Coach Laughlin did a nice job over there with them. Coach has young boys himself. He's a young man himself. Did a great job when he had the Jackson program. That's when I first was introduced. He coached a couple of my sons. Just a great young man. I'll tell you what. And he said to me, he was really torn when he had the opportunity to go to Louisville versus staying at Jackson. And, we had a talk and said, hey, Blake, family first, always. And I think he carried that same thing when he made the decision that he's got some young sons that he wants to see, grow and whatever their sport may be. I know that a lot they do wrestle. I've seen them wrestle. I think they play some soccer. So, but Coach will always be around. Young man, I see him. He's over there working. So, Just great job. But I know Micah's going to do a good job over there. Micah also a part of our USA program, USA team, and we're going to see him year round with our sport. Well, your alma mater there, Coach. Big boys are out on the mat. Far side, Northwest, Glen Oak got the heavyweights out there.
And I'm assuming here, based off of numbers on the team, that they're able to come down here and shift and get a little bit of extra work. So you see Glen Oak doing some work here with Marlington. I know that Marlington had started that thing out against North Canton, but that's good to see too, that, hey, it's a preview. Let's get some extra work in. It's only going to benefit you down the line. And
no, you're spot on, Coach. I mean, that's the whole key here. If you got some extras, get them extras in, get them a taste. Sadly, we know in our sports, right? You're one play away, next man up. So those JVs got to be ready. You just don't know if somebody could get injured. Maybe somebody doesn't make weight. You got to be ready to step into that lineup and be ready to perform. So you're right. It's a good thing. And I'll tell you what, again, the women tonight, we can't say enough about the ladies.
Yep.
As they, again, their first year, as you pointed out early in the show, their first year at the shot, recognized now officially by the Ohio High School Athletic Association as a competitive sport, if you will, no longer based in a club base, if you will. And Stark Media, we're going to be right there with them all the way.
Yep, that's going to be a different piece of coverage that I think a lot of people will enjoy. You talk about first year, you talk about the ground floor of building this thing, and to see that there's already teams that have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 girls.
Yeah.
That say, I want to come out here and compete. That's a great thing.
No, outstanding. No, you're absolutely right.
Been a great time rolling alongside you guys here tonight. This has been fun. Our first rodeo.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Episode 1.
What are they going to be saying 10 years down the line? They're going to point back to this moment.
Exactly.
Right? This is a historic occasion.
Absolutely. I saw you doing the pictures. You got the camera going.
Yep.
Everything's,
got to document the moment.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you what.
They'll say those two old dudes and that young big guy up there started this thing.
Exactly. We are positioned pretty well, right? When we do stair step up nicely, right? We got the the lightweight on the end, the middleweight in the middle, and the upper weight. So we got all 3 divisions covered.
And we had some great guests on tonight too. Guys that you brought on, Theodore Hunter.
Theodore Hunter, yep. I'll tell you what, Coach, I'm excited to get to meet him officially. I've seen him through years. I know you and him talk. We had Jeff Coleman on. We had Art Kalai from the Northwest. Coach. Oh my goodness,
Jesse Villers.
Jesse
from Lake.
Thank you, JR. Sorry, Coach Villers. Coach Villers on from Lake, and that's just the beginning, Tej. I mean, you've got such a vision where you want this to go. What is in store for our fans in the room coming up? Our first in the room session next week. Of course, we have a match this week from the corner. Where are they now? And I tell you what, we are here for you, ladies and gentlemen. You got ideas? Please share and go to our website. Sure, you can drop in a note.
Drop an email at starkmediateam@gmail.com. If there's something you may want to see, something you may want to hear. I think we're starting to put a bow on this thing as they're getting ready to roll up some mats. Please reach out to us. Tweet us, Facebook, Instagram. We're on all the different social media platforms. But if you want to shoot us an email at starkmediateam@gmail.com, we'll get back to you. And again, something you want to see, reach out to us. Let us know. We'll put it together for you.
We should be able to do a whole segment on what it used to be like putting mats down and getting them up compared to this craziness right now where 2 people can roll up a mat and pick it up by themselves.
You see that work right there on the camera being put in, and
I can't even explain the monumental task it used to be because they were basically one solid piece or 2 if you were lucky. Yeah. And to roll those things up and to lock hands underneath. I can't even imagine you moving mats at Norton in where your wrestling room was.
We had high school matches with the high school. We practiced at a school down the corner, so we had to take mats from the practice room up to the high school. I'm telling you, guys, I am shocked that no one was severely injured or worse. I mean, we had, like JR said, guys underneath. It's snowing. We're going downstairs. Yes. We're putting them on a stake bed truck. Guys riding. Oh, yeah, crazy stuff. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, You know, where are they now? You know, we'll come up with some crazy stories, man.
They were so heavy.
Oh, it was insane.
These things now is amazing.
Well, as you see, ladies and gentlemen, walking across as with all of our sports, when done, those athletes shaking hands, you know, telling each other, nice job. Again, a preview of what's to come in Stark County Wrestling. I'll tell you what, we're so excited to bring this to you. TJ and JP's vision that they had and have given so many the opportunity. I can't tell you, being down the floor, JR, here prior to getting started, how we were sharing a little bit about what has been happening here, and the coach's eyes just lighting up like, really, that you guys are really doing that. And we're like, oh yeah, absolutely. We hope to get, you know, some athletes on here, let them hear from the athletes. So very excited.
Lots more to come, guys.
All right, man.
So let's put a bow on this thing.
Let's
what do you
do
say?
it.
All
As
right.
they're wrapping it up. Great sportsmanship down there. Shout out to the referees. Shout out to my guys here, JR, Jim Bostic, Curt Hamilton down there, still on the microphone doing some announcing. Everybody here, Tom Oakes, athletic director here inside of North Canton City Schools, for what they've done. Our sponsors, our partners, we give you guys a shout out. Thank you again. We will see you Thursday night. Got a duel coming up, and just right alongside us. Again, reach out to us at starkmediateam@gmail.com. If there's something you want to see, just send us a note. Appreciate everybody tuning in tonight on our YouTube channel. As I see, had a lot of viewers tonight, guys. A lot of viewers. So we're hitting the threshold here, about 2 hours and 40 minutes. That's a full broadcast, man. Anybody else's throat a little dry?
All right. God bless, brother. Good job.
All right, guys, signing off for Stark Media Team. We'll see you next time.